We got 99 problems, but a breaker with true transparency is not one. What is going on? YouTube world. Steve, Vinny, I'm Dave. IRP, the Insert Revolution podcast. We're at episode 99. Insane to think of that, to even say it. It's something we thought we'd do. Start off hot instead of like bi-weekly, maybe once a month, whatever it was going to be. And the train just keeps going down the tracks. So far, it hasn't derailed. I mean, it's amazing.
Surprisingly enough.
with what cargo we've got on board, I mean, it's going to be a fiery explosion, I'm sure. But we haven't reached that point. So tonight, we got a couple guests on, possibly more. Two that were in the placeholder bowed out for tonight due to illness and family illnesses right now. So we hope the old Kinworthy and Bannister family quickly recover from illness. And they will be joining us in the very near future. Which, Steve, you want to piggyback off the very near future now?
Yep, let's go ahead and knock out this. So we got enough watchers here. So as Dave alluded to, episode 99, which means everybody knows the big 100 episode is around the corner. It will not be next week. It will not be the week after. And it will not be the week after that. So the RRP crew is going on vacation. I'm gone for 2 weeks. Dave's gone for almost 10 days. Vinny's got some time scheduled to go visit family outside of show period time. But the RRP crew is going on vacation. So we will have 3 uploads during that time. It'll be Chasing the Hits. We've already recorded them. They're ready to go. So those will be there on Tuesday nights, same time for your enjoyment. Just know it's not going to be live. So keep that in mind. Just letting everybody know, no show for the next 3 weeks. So the next big show will be episode 100, and that will be the Tuesday after Labor Day. So we kind of have to think of how we want to do some things because that's a big milestone for us. But that's the only housekeeping stuff that I have. Vinny, anything from your perspective that you can think of outside of what's coming up?
Bear with C in her pronunciations of names for the breaks. Give her a chance because she's still learning. I mean, she can name every Michigan Star pro football player for her soccer club, but baseball, football, hockey, she's still having a rough time. But the thing is, if I say, yeah, you did a bad job, do you think she's ever going to want to bust cards again?
Mm-hmm.
And we need all the people, young people in this hobby that aren't going to turn into a bunch of goofballs and, say how much meat's on the bone and call you bro every 4 minutes. She might call you bro, but I digress. But she's still going to be the sweet, innocent person that loves sports and likes hanging out with her dad for now.
Yep.
And I hope she never loses that, because right now we were in this room tonight for an hour going through cards. So you know what? I'm going to hold on to that because I already lost 2 other ones to adulthood. So I'm going to hold on to this one.
No, absolutely, Vinny. And good point to bring up. She had a blast. She enjoyed hanging out with the guys doing that. So it's one of those in which we hope you enjoy them. There are 3, like I said. What do we have? 2. We've got baseball, hockey, and basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 different sports. So those will be uploaded accordingly. So you'll at least have something to watch on Tuesday. But Dave, that's everything for. Go ahead, Vinny.
One more thing. I might have to rebrand to Grandpa Vinny. So
Grandpa Vinny. Yes.
My daughter announced that she'll be having a boy here in January. So that's the other housekeeping news of the IRP tripod.
Yep. Congratulations again.
Thank you. But take it away, Dave. I'll shut up now.
So, Dave?
So with that, all that wonderful news, and you guys all knowing that next 3 Tuesdays, you will be seeing our jovial faces and unique expressions at the 7:35 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tonight, we do another national recap. Again, these are, for us, for the collector, for everyone, I think insanely important. And I've seen others do this now, all of a sudden. It's interesting how it works. You set the bar and people try to reach it, which is nice. But remember, give credit where credit is due. We've seen it done in the past, where folks will have folks on, but it's more or less just, hey, give us your recap. We're trying to give it from every aspect, every vantage point. Dealers, true collectors, some flippers, some people that go there most of the time just for the camaraderie, the connections, the conversations. And if they pick up a card, hey, that's just sprinkles on top of the donut. But tonight, super happy, and I know it was a surprise to longtime friend Steve, which that made it even better, because this is where I try to do better than most, and this is me. I try to remember conversations in the past that, hey, this person means a lot to me. So, and there wasn't a falling out. It's just sort of time goes on, numbers are lost, whatnot. But I saw a video on the person we're going to introduce first, on his YouTube or his Facebook page, busting open some Panini Gold VIP thick packs, and I think he brought some of the rest home to his shop and I don't remember if it's in Wilmington anymore, or if it's somewhere else. So he'll have to correct me because I'm easily correctable. I just don't remember. I remember the conversations, the major parts. I just, they're like mosquitoes. Whatever. They get swatted out of the way. But to get him on here, to have him have probably a good candid conversation about his first national trip, and to think about it, this guy's been in the hobby, at least in our hobby sphere, for 15 years that we've known, 15, 16 years, making videos on YouTube. Consistently, constantly, giving us, I know me, days, weeks, months of free entertainment. Some bad puns here and there, but that's great. That's why he fits in with us, because there's some jokes where you just want to kick the table and be like, I'll stub my toe on the table because that was so bad. But it's so good. That's what we love about him, and that's why we stayed loyal to his brand when other breakers have come in, tried to, I don't want to say manipulate, because that's a stronger word than I actually use, but they want to get their piece of the pie, and they're going to do what they can to try to garner attention, be stupid, be shady, not send out hits, just be utter douchebags and cum buckets that are just fucking dumpster fires, just assholes. This guy's been true to himself, been true to his customer base. He's been true to the hobby as a hobbyist and somebody that actually loves and gives a shit about the hobby. So when he's one of my favorite things from the YouTube Hall of Fame, video time. Without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Chris Justice of Cards Infinity, aka the Hobby Boss.
Hello.
What's going on, Chris? So that took a little bit longer than expected, but then again, if you know anything about Dave, Chris,
All right.
he says he doesn't like to hear himself talk, but yet he likes to talk.
Gotcha. That was very nice. Thanks, Dave.
Oh, absolutely.
Nice introduction.
It's well deserved because you've been around forever. People that know, they remember the old shop next to the tattoo parlor. They remember the Johnny Lee Higgins collector busting the old seven stuff.
Mr. N.E.
Yeah.
No emotion.
Did you guys know that? Mr. No Emotion, he passed away. Did you know that?
No, really.
I didn't know if I told you. I didn't tell a lot of people unless they asked, but he was like one of the big inspirations of doing the videos because he had no qualms like buying national treasures back in like 06, 07. You know what I mean? But yeah, he has passed away, unfortunately. He's a really nice guy.
Someone else recently.
Oh, yeah. Aussie Andy. Did you guys happen to hear his name ever? Aussie Andy. He was a big wrestler collector. Super nice guy. Would bend over backwards for anybody on his birthday, which is actually possibly today. It's the middle of August. His birthday was coming up. He would have been 42. But anyway, like on his birthday, every year that he was on my live feed, he would always give away $50 to someone else as his birthday gift. He would give it away. See how nice he was? Just a genuinely really nice guy. I hated to hear that. He's a huge wrestling fan out of Australia. But that was we're starting this thing off doom and gloom. He passed away.
Well, no, I appreciate you. I appreciate you mentioning it because he busted a few of my boxes back in the day when I ordered quite frequently. Back when stuff was affordable.
Exactly. Him and Tattoo.
Tattoo did quite a few as well. This is true. But before we get too much into the questions, we want to make sure we bring on our other guest this evening. So he's not sitting there going, okay, guys, WTF, what are you doing? I'll go and introduce this guy.
You can introduce him.
Probably some interesting stories. He shared one of them with our group chat, which hopefully, given the dynamic of this evening, he'll be able to share doom and gloom story almost, or potentially averted per se. We also bring on Mr. Crypto Grifter himself, Wesker Griff.
Yo.
What's going on, Ed?
Yo.
What's up?
Thanks for having me on, guys. It's going to be a fun episode.
Absolutely.
A really entertaining, fun episode.
Absolutely. Yeah. If for once the roles are going to be kind of reversed. Both of you are hobby veterans. You've been to multiple nationals. Chris has been to one. So it's going to be kind of interesting. However, Chris, I know you've been to a few industry summits, which those typically don't pertain to us hobby or us collectors. But since we're focused on strictly the national, that's what the conversation will be around for. So, Dave, I'm sure you kind of got your questions ready as it pertains to where you want to head with this, and go for it.
So, Chris, overall, how was your national experience this year? Again, being your first one, I'm guessing sort of knowing what you're going to be in for, but then the realization as you walk through the doors and you're like, huh. Okay.
You want me to answer that? Was
Was
that the question? Oh, sorry. Sorry. All right, so check it out. I go down there and I meet a group of buddies. I've never been to the national before. I've been invited before. I've been. It's kind of like a running joke every year. I'm like, oh, I'm definitely going to national this year, and I never go. Finally, this year I said, I gotta go. You know what I mean? So it's in AC. I will say AC is probably, I've heard, and I haven't heard. I know Wes probably knows that a lot of people probably prefer Chicago, Cleveland areas maybe even a new venue next year. But anyway, I get there and parking was pretty crazy. We're walking in and I couldn't believe how many people were there. It was ridiculous. It was just like a sea of people. And I haven't even entered the national yet. I'm just coming in to get where you go in line to go in. Mm-hmm. So then we go up the escalator. I got the VIP pass, so I go get my VIP bag and all that stuff. And as soon as I walk in, it's just like as far as the eye can see, tables, memorabilia, people, of course, big corporate section right in the middle. It just seemed like there was corporate all the way down the middle. And we're all trying to log in our phones. Like, well, we're going this way. I'm going that way. You're going this way. Let's just text each other. We get in this thing. You cannot text. You cannot get on the phone, internet.
It was horrible.
It was crazy, man. I finally figured out if you go stand under booth 2500, you could get text to go through. It was right in the middle. You could have to go find certain spots to get your text because you'll text someone, hey, I'm back at 2700 or whatever, and it might not come through for 30 minutes. Unless I did hear if you paid $90 or something like this for the Wi-Fi package, maybe you could hook the cellular phone data and it would go through, but you had to pay $90 per day for that. We didn't do that. Anyway, so I'm just wandering around this place, and right out of the gate, I see like these big display cases just filled with all these old packs, like 50. There was even a 52 tops in there, 55 tops, sealed packs and all this stuff. So I'm just basically going table to table, just looking at stuff. And it was quite overwhelming, to be honest with you. That was my first impression of walking into the National. I've watched plenty of people. Every year that I said I was going to go, I would watch people's videos of them there. I'm like, damn it, why didn't I go this year? It would have been fun, and I've never ever been, but it was really fun. I had a good time. Met a lot of people that you see type under your live chat and under your Facebook post and stuff, and you never see their face. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, I'm so and so, or hey, I'm so and so. And you're like, man, nice to meet you. I see you type all the time. You know what I mean? That was pretty cool too. But that was my initial impression. It was crazy packed. I heard parking was really bad. Luckily, we were Ubering, but we looked over at the parking lot and there was a seas of cars everywhere trying to get into the place. And just tons and tons of people, tons and tons of everything you could possibly imagine. Memorabilia, packs, cards, you name it, it was out there. And the internet issue. Those are the first things that stick out. It was fun, though. I had a blast.
Now, being your first one, did you have any set goal going to the National, or was it just, hey, as you just laid out, I've been asked, I should probably go to one of these at some point in time just to see what the hullabaloo is about, or were you actually just gonna like, hey, let's see what somebody's wax prices is compared to what I get, or are you for a personal collection of some card that, hey, back in the day, I wouldn't mind having this card, and if I find it, I might pick it up if the price is reasonable. Right.
When I went out there, I really didn't have any set goal. If something jumped out at me, I planned on getting it. I've been collecting. You guys know Devontae Smith, right? Football player, wide receiver for the Eagles. Anyway, I watched him last year. I had Jalen Hurts on my fantasy, and I thought the dude was a beast. Jalen Hurts necessarily didn't take advantage of it being a beast. So I've been kind of collecting his short prints, his one-of-ones and stuff like this. So I did go to many, many tables asking them if they had any, and I couldn't find any. I found like jerseys and standard autographs. But when I went out there, I was just going to see if anything really jumped out at me. If I found anything rare like from him, I definitely planned on seeing what their pricing were. I heard by looking around that some of the pricing was a little high. I guess they haven't checked recent comps, some of these dealers, to bring their prices back down to earth some. But I didn't have any set goal or anything to buy or anything. I definitely wanted to meet up with a lot of people that I had told I was going out there and like, man, when you get out there, we got to hook up. I just wanted to hook up with a lot of people that I talked to, like I say, via, they see me, they see my face, they hear me say corny jokes and stuff and open cards, but I never get to see them and stuff like that. And I hooked up with several of them while I was out there, and it was fun. It was fun putting faces to names, typing names, you know what I mean? But yeah, I wouldn't say I went out there with a goal like, oh, I got to get this or I got to get that. If something jumped out, I had planned to get it, but that was it. I actually, if you've ever watched my live stream, you'll know I'm a huge movie buff. Yes. And I did get to, I can quote movie lines after movie lines. You kind of remind me of Seth Rogen a little bit. Anybody ever tell you that?
At work today, I got called a goddamn bum and that I look like a goddamn bum. It's like, okay. Take that.
But I did get to meet the guy. I don't know if you've ever seen Blazing Saddles. He was in the back signing. I talked to him for like 20 or 30 minutes. He's a really nice guy, and I got some pictures of him. He inscribed them for me. It was really – I love that movie when I was young, Blazing Saddles. It was really funny.
Great movie.
It was Gillian Burton. He was the one that says – he's the one that wanted them to sing a song, a real song, or something like that. And you can't really say a lot of lines from that because there's a lot of racist stuff in it.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, a lot of people don't know this. Richard Pryor wrote that movie, all the racist terms and everything. Richard Pryor was him and Mel Brooks. They wrote it. So, but yeah, I got to meet him when I was back there. I really wanted to get Mark Mosley's autograph. I had the VIP pass, and you get tickets for certain autographs. And I used to be a diehard Redskin fan in the '80s, and Mark Mosley was our kicker. And he was signing, and I was like looking at those lines. I was like, "There's no way you can wait in line 2 hours for a Mark Mosley autograph, right?" These lines were hanging back in the TriStar autograph area, so I didn't get it. But I was like, I can't wait 2 hours to get his autograph. But I did want his when I saw him on the list. I'm like, probably nobody would want it, and everybody was in lines everywhere to get everybody's autograph. It was crazy how busy it was. I ran into Odell at the hotel, drunk one night.
Oh boy.
I wish
These are the stories we want to hear, Chris. These are the stories we want to hear.
So we're coming back. I kind of binge drank the whole time I was there. I was having fun. So I was like, every night seemed like I was just getting crazy. Anyway, we're coming back from somewhere. Me and the crew, it was like 4 or 5 of us. And I look over and he's got an entourage around him. And he's at the Regatta. He's not at the Atlantic City Convention Center. And I was like, man, I think that's Odell. And I was like, hey, are you Odell? And he's like, no. I'm like, are you Odell? And I'm drunk, probably in some deep Southern accent that I have. He's like, no. And I'm like, dude, are you fucking with me? You're Odell. And he grabs my hand and pulls me in or something. I was like, dude, you had the sickest catch of all time. And he says no, and he named somebody else. But he did pull me into the crew when I kept asking if he was Odell, which I kind of knew in my drunkenness it was, but I just want to verify it from him. Anyway, he's a really cool guy.
Did you run into Allen Iverson at the Regatta? He was there.
I did run into AI at the Regatta.
He was playing $100 roulette with 2 private security guards.
Oh, okay. I heard he was, but I was walking by and he walked by me with his entourage. But this one I was sober, so I didn't say anything. I looked over, I was like, oh my God, that's AI.
Yeah, I was walking around and I'm like, oh, there's AI with the 2 private Regatta security guards playing $100 roulette with a little velvet rope around the table. This is
$100 per number?
Yeah. I'm
How
like,
much
man,
on the table at one go? Like $5,000 or something? Or did it show? Or did you walk by and see it?
I didn't look to see what he was betting, but I just saw I know where to look at for how high the table amount is.
Oh, I got you.
For the minimum. So I was like, oh, he's on $100. He's on $100 roulette table. Not even Tony Soprano did that.
I know I saw him in an interview, I think it was, or where he talks about he loves gambling. Matter of fact, I thought he was going back to the big 3 to earn more gambling money. He likes to gamble every now and again. AI does. Well, then again, there's a lot of athletes too. Phil Mickelson, John Daly. I mean, there's a lot of dudes. Michael Jordan. A lot of them love to gamble. So I ran into him, but I didn't see him at the tables. I would have stopped and watched him play if they allow you. I don't know if they allow that or not. But.
It's weird. I really don't run into any athletes, but this is the second national where I've run into Allen Iverson.
For real?
And I bumped into him at the there's a Starbucks at the Marriott, not Marriott, the Hilton in Rosemont in Chicago, and he was getting coffee in there. I'm like, and then when I saw him this time in Atlantic City, I'm like, oh my God, I don't bump into any big name athletes, but for some odd reason, I keep bumping into Allen Iverson every national. This is becoming a tradition.
Right. I actually pulled his one gold vinyl patch. Did you see it in those gold packs? Those 5 fat gold packs. Coincidentally, one of them was AI. One of them.
That's sweet.
In the gold patch, yeah, it was a patch. It looked like one they had cut up that he had signed. There was ink on the white part of the patch, but it didn't say autograph. But it looked like something he had signed. They cut it up.
Were they game used? Were they game used?
You know what? Yeah, everybody asked that, right? I was. I can't remember if I checked the bag and see. I bet it was player worn, but I don't know. It might have been game used. I forgot to check the bag. Now that you mentioned that, I was that night we did that video. That was about 2 a.m. So you know what time it was. when I was opening those, showing them. Anyway.
So Ed, from your perspective, same question though that Dave threw at Chris as far as goals were concerned. I know we had the pre-national conversation, and you said your piece as far as kind of some of the stuff you were looking for, but did any of that change because of what you were noticing or anything along those lines?
Yeah, this was kind of a strange national, honestly. I went in with the mindset that things would be priced to sell, and come midday Wednesday, I was getting really, really frustrated going around looking at different showcases, just seeing some of the prices. I'm like, okay, a lot of these prices are like peak boom prices from like the beginning of 2021. Like these cards are like really high. And then, as Chris was saying, without question, this is not up for debate. This was the worst national for cell reception or Wi-Fi. Like, it goes without saying, if you're going to go to the national, that you're going to get spotty Wi-Fi. That's just a given. It happens. There's so many people in the building. You're not going to get a good reception, or if you're on a phone call with someone, the call might drop. We know that going in. But for this particular national, it was atrocious. It was frustrating. It was like going through stages. Like, at first it was annoying, then it was frustrating, then you get angry, then it became a joke. Like, the longer you were there. And for me, it was frustrating because I couldn't coordinate with people in the community for meetups specifically. Like, there was people I was going to meet up with. The convention was huge. Like, from going to the national in 2016 in Atlantic City to going now, it's like night and day different. Like, the convention was huge. It was easily the biggest showroom floor space wise that the Nationals had that I've been to. Way bigger than Chicago, way bigger than Cleveland. So there's tons of space. And you get lost in there. And if you're not able to coordinate with people on, like, hey, where are you at? I'm in the VIP room, or I'm by PWCC, or I'm by Tops, I'm in the corporate area. Like, if you can't coordinate with people, if you can't send a text message, like, you're screwed. Like, the only way that you're going to run across someone is if by dumb sheer luck you bump into them. That's it. And like, for me, unfortunately, I only bumped into a handful of people in the community, and I didn't really bump into like the people I was looking for, or the people that I've never met before who were going for the first time. And that's not even talking about like the ability to check comps, check recent sold listings or stuff. Because if you're making like some of the prices, a lot of these showcases, the like cheapest card in there might have been like, a lot of showcases, the cheapest card was like $100. So if you're on like a strict budget and you only have X amount of money to spend per day you're going to be there, you really have to know your prices. You really have to know what things are selling for. So again, all these dealers, the majority of the dealers had things listed at peak prices. So you're like, okay, what's a good thing to offer on that card? Oh, wait, I can't check my phone to look up if that's a good price or a bad price. Like, there was a couple of things I wrote down, took some notes in my phone. When I got back to the hotel, I checked it out. I'm like, well, if it's going to be there tomorrow, I'll check. And when I checked the some of the recent sales, I'm like, oh my God, that's $100 over comps. That's $75 over comps. That's $55 over comps. That's $300 over comps. Like, okay, this is so. To circle around back to the question, like, I really didn't buy much. Like, if you watch my recaps, like, I did pick up some really cool stuff. I made it a point to go through value boxes, because come midday Thursday, I'm like, okay, I'm not really going to be buying a lot of stuff from showcases. Let me go through these value boxes. Let me dig through these boxes. And my Thursday and Friday recap, they're all pretty much value box cards, because I just refused to pay those inflated prices that dealers were charging. Just not going to do it. Not going to do it. Like, I'll wait. I'm very patient. I'll just wait for my price. And Mike brings up a great point. This baseball card life. I personally saw that happen. I saw dealers not be able to complete transactions because said customer wants to buy, I don't know, like a $1,400 card, or wants to buy a $5,000 card. A lot of these people aren't carrying $4,000, $5,000 on them. Christ, you're in Atlantic City. I mean, you don't want to be carrying all that cash around on you. And they got to do digital payment, whether it be Venmo, whether it be PayPal, whatever. And you can't get a signal to send the payment on PayPal. I saw one person buy a Pokemon. I think it was either a Blastoise or Venusaur first edition, and it was $5,500. And they literally had to go out the back door, walk down the block to get a reception, to get a signal, come back, had the security hold the door open for them, come in, and then go back to the dealer and say, hey, did you get the payment? It's sent. And the dealer's like, I see it's sent on your phone, but I don't have anything yet. Well, the dealer's going to have to go outside, walk down the block, get a reception, then come back. So
that's crazy.
And
I
the
saw
national
videos of dudes
number,
carrying around hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash. Did you see that?
some people do. The overwhelming majority don't, though.
What's that?
Some people do carry a lot of cash on them. I have seen that personally.
Yep.
Like, I know someone that literally had 70 grand in their backpack one year.
It's crazy.
But the overwhelming majority do not do that.
Yeah.
Because so much can go wrong that way.
I agree. I can't believe they do that.
No, it's not suburbia when you go to AC. I mean, it's not you take a lot into your hands when you carry that kind of coin. And there's one video I had watched. I think the guy's name was like Little Pullman.
I saw that video.
And he bought, I don't know, some NT cases and some Prism, 250,000, 270,000, somewhere in there, cash.
You talking about a DA cardboard booth?
I think so. I think that was there because, I mean, he had a couple deals that went through or went to the side or went awry, and then he went to that.
He had the fat stacks. That's one of the videos.
Oh, God, it's
He
like
looked like he was like 18 years old, and he was carrying around 200,000 in cash. I'm like, geez, this game has changed.
Big time. Big time.
Like, is that real money? Is that real? And I'm like, that's the real money of this business now. I mean, it's gotten to the point where if you did that before 10 years ago, you probably would have got jumped probably right there. You put that out there. Now that's just sort of that's the name of the game if you want to make these transactions. But yeah, I couldn't believe that. You're an AC. I mean, you might as well be in Compton or Watts or South Central or Red Hook, Brooklyn. So it's like you carry that much money. I don't care what your posse and entourage looks like. Yeah, you got people that they smell and they see that money. Whew, it's
what
on.
What Chris said earlier, though, about the $80 per day for Wi-Fi is true, though. I heard multiple dealers tell me that. Basically, that was offered to the dealers by the convention. They said, if you want high-speed Wi-Fi, it's $80 a day. And some dealers did get it because some dealers were able to check stuff on their phone. I just bluntly asked, I'm like, how are you getting reception here? And they're like, well, we paid $80 a day for high-speed internet. I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. And then other dealers didn't have it. Now, some dealers really felt a certain way about that, though, because they're paying a shit ton of money to set up at the National, and then you're going to tack on $80 a day extra for them. Yeah. I mean, they're already paying a ton of money to set up at the show, and now you're going to – I felt like that kind of fed into – because some dealers were just plain rude, grumpy, irritable, bitchy, whatever adjective you want to use. Some of them were absolutely downright miserable. And I'm like, I don't know if it's because of the internet. I don't know if it's because you're losing money because potential deals are walking away with the digital payments. I don't know what it is, but some of them Not all of them. Some of them were. Boy, oh boy, they had a real nasty attitude.
Right.
Yeah,
Did
when
you
you
deal with
got
that at all, Chris? Just out of curiosity, curmudgeon dealers. If you were engaged in conversation or asking about anything, that's for you, Chris. Did you experience the
It
same
broke
thing?
up. Say that again one more time.
Did you deal with any like curmudgeon, like rude or kind of upset dealers anytime you were trying to engage in any of those conversations?
Oh no, I didn't engage with a ton of the dealers anyway, but the ones I did for me they were really nice. They answered all my questions. They were really nice. I didn't. I could see what Wes is talking about though. Like they had to pay the $80 for it, and they getting tacked on after probably shelling out thousands and thousands just to be there. You think that would be complimentary? You get Wi-Fi service. You know what I mean? All this money that was brought in for the national, people just buying stuff and paying for tables and this, that, and the other, and we're all paying for our tickets in. You think Wi-Fi would have been plentiful for everybody, but I guess that's a service you had to pay for. What can you do? Making money at every call.
Exactly. Well, it'll be interesting to see. Mike, this baseball card life brought up. Hopefully, enough people complained about the shoddiness of the Wi-Fi and the fact of having to pay for something that maybe they'll take that into consideration in future nationals, to where they need to like add some cell boosters or something within the facility to give people the opportunity to finalize transactions and so on. Because from a dealer perspective, I'm only speaking based on conversations, that if I'm spending thousands of dollars to set up at the National, not just the tables, but my travel, if I'm having to pay additional people, hotel food, all that other kind of stuff, to have additional charges, so to speak. Although, let's be reasonable, $80 a day in the scheme of things really isn't horrendous when people are dropping thousands of dollars on cardboard. But on the flip side, these people have paid to be there. They're the reason as to why people flock to the National. The dealers are what bring in some of the business. Granted, all the corporate individuals, the manufacturers, the breakers, all that, they do the same. But come on, man. Give these guys a break. They're already spending thousands of dollars. Why should it be a paid service? So
I heard that it costs now. This is what one dealer told Baseball Collector. He said it costs $5,000 to set up at the show. Now I don't know if everyone pays $5,000, but that's what that particular dealer said.
How many tables?
I think he only had two.
2,500 a table.
I guess so.
Damn.
Yeah.
But for the whole show,
if you go to a restaurant and you order like something and you like, can I get a side of ranch, and they charge you 50 cents? Yeah, it's not a lot of money, but it's still a bitchy thing to do.
I love that analogy.
You're not crying because you had to pay 50 cents. You're crying because they're like trying to nickel and dime you. You're like, why are you doing that to me? I'm frequenting your restaurant. I paid money to eat here. That's what I feel like with the internet service. Like, just give everybody, all these companies. I heard T-Mobile, by the way. If you had T-Mobile out there, I heard you could do really well. Like, they could get signal and pull up internet. It was Verizon, AT&T, and all of those that were the ones, which I'm on AT&T, and I couldn't get a signal to save my life. But like I say, I felt like if you're going out there and everybody shelling out those dollars, just make it where, like he said, put some cell boosters in there for AT&T, Verizon. They know there's going to be 100,000 people there in and out. So,
for the entire weekend. I mean,
for the weekend, it'll be a ton shuffling in and out.
The Wi-Fi situation in Rosemont's fine. Like, you're able to get reception there. You can text, you can call. Last year it was fine. The only problem with last year with the convention center was it became a sweat box because the AC wasn't working on Wednesday and Thursday. But they fixed it come Friday. So that wasn't a problem in AC. The air conditioning was great there. I mean, that was fine.
Yep.
So you weren't sweating your ass off. You just couldn't talk to anybody.
Oh, I lost my voice for like 2 or 3. Every morning I would wake up and I couldn't talk. Because when you're at the National, you yell to try to talk to somebody. You're like, hey, how's it going? Blah, 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 blah. And when you wake up in the morning, I'd be like, hello. And I could barely get the last letter of a word out of every word. It was crazy. But then after a rum or coke or two later that day, I'd get my voice back. I'd be good to go.
Well, I guess it's a good thing, Chris, you weren't doing breaks in after hours of the National for any customers. not being able to talk.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So Vinny, before Dave throws out another question that could go down multiple paths, you said you came prepared this week.
For different panel members, though, I got a curveball here. I had RBI Crew 7 stuff. It's just, but anyhow, did a lot of the dealers did they take credit card?
No, I didn't see any deal. I only saw a handful of the corporate dealers. The corporate dealers take like David Adams, Steel City, Blowout. They'll take credit card. Baseball Card Exchange, they take credit card. Certain like the ones selling the Pelican cases, I believe they were taking credit card. But your average dealer weren't taking credit card.
That's what I
they
figured.
were taking digital payment, but a lot of these dealers couldn't get a signal to accept digital payment. So cash was king. I mean, we all know cash is king, but
with the invention of that little cube that you could just stick on a cell phone now, I'm surprised more people don't use that as a form of currency, especially with the stuff going down, because there's 2 or 3 people I know that have businesses, and they just at the card show, they're like, got a card? I'm like, yeah. They're like, I got this thing. If you want to use it, I'll pay cash. But some people do have that cube thing. You run it through, goes right on an app on their phone. Bada bing, it emails you a receipt. Good to go.
I have one of those.
Yeah, they're slick.
If people are willing to pay the fees though, because MasterCard is a 1%, or Visa MasterCard is 1%, Discover is another, and then American Express or whatever. And
Amex is the worst.
Yeah, I was going to say I thought Amex was the highest as it pertains to the percentage, but it's one of those in which if you use it frequently, you don't notice, I guess, the hit that you take from a transaction or per transaction perspective. But if you're doing it here and there, that could be a substantial chunk of your bottom line for your take for the show. So,
that's true.
Any other questions, Vinny, that you may or may not think of, or just keep in mind though, you thought of some late last week, so I'm going to keep coming back to you. Dave, I know you have your list, so you probably have the same questions as I do, so I'll let it ride.
Away from the National, and business hours there were closed up, and you were free to gallivant about the grounds of the town and the local surrounding areas. What activities did you occupy your time with, and were there any tales of harrowing escapes?
Harrowing escapes. For me, when I occupied my time with, we met up with crews, like I say, of people that would be like we friends on the live feed. We met up and had dinner. Mark and Anthony's, and other than that, it was a lot of beverage intake and gambling. That's what we took in. We did go to White House Subs. Have you guys heard of this place? White House Submarines. Apparently, it's like the world's most famous submarine sandwich shop in America. It's over there. It's in AC, but it's like, if I had to take a guess, 5 blocks away from Caesar's Palace. We went there, and you had to wait outside. There, you can sit inside, but you have to wait outside, and the line was hanging at all times. It's like they were giving away sandwiches, but they weren't. We went there, but anyway, there's pictures of Donald Trump up there with the owner, and like you name it, there's just all these famous people on the wall that have eaten at this White House submarine sandwich. Oh yeah, when I was walking by, there was this old lady bent over on a crutcher, right? And we were going to get our sandwiches, and she was like, "Can you get me something to eat?" And I thought she was scamming us, but I was like, "You want something to eat?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "What do you want?" And she looked like she was 80. But anyway, she's like, she knew her menu order automatically: Philly cheesesteak, fried onions, and ketchup only. I'm like, All right, I'll get you a sandwich. So when we came back, I was walking way ahead. I was like, all right, I'm going to give her the sandwich. You guys let me know if she asks you guys to get her another sandwich. I didn't know if it was some kind of game she was playing, like where she'd hand them off to other people or sell them or something. Anyway, they said when she walked by, she had tears in her eyes and she was eating that sandwich. Like I guess she was really hungry. That was one of my White House famous submarine sandwich stories at AC. But yeah, as far as activities, it would seem like we were playing games all night. I played poker. I had slot machines, craps. Is that what you did, Wes, for the most part, or did you?
Pay it forward. Pay it forward.
I stayed at the Regatta Wednesday night and Thursday night, and then I drove to and from Philly on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay.
Wednesday night and Thursday night, the casino was absolutely mobbed. Now, I've been to the casinos plenty of times in Atlantic City in the summertime. The tables are usually like $15, 15, maybe a quarter table at Caesars, maybe on a weekday like that, but they were all $100. Like, that was absolutely mind-blowing to see like $50 to $100 tables. And they were packed. They were packed with dudes with Pelican cases underneath the poker tables, underneath the craps tables. It was crazy. There was stupid money being gambled at least in the Regatta. Like, I didn't see the other casinos, but at the Regatta, there was some dumb money being pumped into that casino. Especially on craps. If you're playing $100 craps, I mean, you got 100 on the pass line. You're putting like 300 behind, and you're playing 100 every number. I mean, we're talking over $1,000 here. That's
great to go.
That's so trying to get that table money back. I don't know.
25. The cheapest, like 25 or 50 or something. I was playing them, but
oh, come on, Chris, you were dropping that grand per roll. Don't lie. Come on.
My highest bet was. You guys ever play Pai Gow poker? You ever play that game?
I don't know how to play that.
Poker? The table game? No. My highest bet, I was down and I put 500 up on the Pai Gow, one hand of Pai Gow poker, and I lost. She took my little purple chip. I'm like, damn it. I was like, I'm starting to understand how these casinos make money. They keep sliding the chips in their little tray there. But yeah, that was the highest bet I made. While we were waiting to eat at Vic and Anthony's at Golden Nugget, it's a steakhouse. Like a crew of us met to go eat at Vic and Anthony's. I put a $100 bill in the slot. Literally, we had a reservation. Literally 10 feet from the hostess stand. I'm like, well, while we're waiting to get our seat, I'll just put a $100 bill in here. Damn if I didn't hit it for $500. I was like, hell yeah, waiting to go to eat. I hit triple diamond 7, won 500 bones. I was like, this is nice. I like this game.
There you go. I could buy Wi-Fi for a couple days.
Yeah, exactly. Pay for all the Wi-Fi. Steve, you got to cut those squares out and start smoking vapor machines.
Oh, kiss my ass, Chris.
But yeah, I just saw a lot of people gambling. A lot of people were gambling, and that's about like I didn't venture too far out in Atlantic City because I know there's certain parts you want to avoid. Talk about harrowing escapes. I did almost get robbed.
For real?
For real. I almost did get robbed. The group chat that we have that I'm in with Steve, Dave, Vinny, Carlos, Stan. I broke it to you guys like literally when I got out of the parking lot and I got onto the Black Horse Pike that go on my way back. I was like, let me pull into McDonald's and share this story because like I got to get the story out to them. I couldn't believe what happened. But then I, messaged my buddies because we were doing a meetup at the Claridge on their rooftop bar. Philminton was doing a meetup there for the YouTube card community. There was a lot of us there. And then there was a pop-up trade night that happened at the second floor of the Claridge on Friday night. And there was about maybe like 500 people there doing for the trade night. And they were all in the Claridge because the Claridge is a hotel. It's not a casino, and it's connected to Bally's. And Bally's is connected to the Wild Wild West, which is connected to Caesar. So those are all kind of hot spots. They're all intermingled. But the trade night wasn't at Bally's because you can't do it in the casino. Obviously, the casino security would shut that down pretty quickly, and they were congregating by the bridge that connects the Claridge to Bally's because they wanted to know what the hell was going on in there. But anyway, I left the party at around 11 o'clock, and I'm walking through Bally's, and there's a big bar that's in the center of Bally's, and I believe that's where this guy was at, where this individual was at. And I look behind me, and I'm like, this person's following me pretty closely. Like, I grew up in Philadelphia. I grew up in a major city. Like, I kind of know when I'm being followed. All right. If I go up a handicap ramp and this said person's following me up a handicap ramp, and then, you make like a weird turn and you go down a hallway that like nobody walks down and that person's still following you, then like, yeah, there's something shady going on here. So kind of walking a little faster, still never took my eye off the guy, still looking at him, still following me. Get to the parking garage, get into the elevator. There was 4 ladies on the elevator, thankfully. I get into the elevator, doors are closing. He sticks his hand out. He gets into the elevator. And that's where my back's to the door. So I basically confront him there with the ladies there. And I'm like, well, what floor are you going on, man? He doesn't say anything, has his hand in his pocket. So he's not going to do anything when there's 4 women and there's me in the elevator. So I was on the 5th floor. The ladies were getting off at the 5th floor too, but I hit the 6th floor just to throw them off. Door opens. I bolt right out the door, bolt right out the elevator door, go out the self-parking door. It's kind of hard to explain the setup of this parking garage, but there's 2 doors, so you go through the door. And I didn't park far from where the elevator's at, so I turned behind me. The dude is still behind me. He's still following me. Now he's picking up speed a little bit. I thankfully have one of those keys that you can unlock your car like that, and I hit it, jump right in the driver's seat, put the keys in, turn it on, pull out. As soon as I pull out, he's right at the driver's side door, yelling at me, yelling something at me, still has his hand in his pocket, almost hit the guy, drove right off. Got the fuck out of there. And I'm like, well, I had a decent amount of money on me. Like, because because I already checked out. This was Friday night. I already checked out Friday morning. So I had all my money on me. And there was money from what I took from the National, but also from the trade night. So I'm like, I have a decent chunk of change on me. Like, this could get a little dicey. And that was a pretty fucking close call, man. And it was pretty intense. Thankfully, didn't get hurt, nothing happened. But I think the more infuriating part was when I told the parking attendant, when you leave, you pay for your parking when you leave, and I have a Bally's card. So I gave her my Bally's card, and I don't have to pay for parking. I told her, I'm like, hey, there's a very suspicious guy on the 5th floor. He followed me all the way from the casino floor to the parking lot. He's wearing a blue hoodie. I described what he was wearing. I'm like, you might want to send security up there to make sure he doesn't prey on anyone else or attack anyone else. And she just basically blew me off. She was just like, oh, okay, well, I'll keep an eye out for him, and I'll let security know. And what was crazy was the day after, I found out that 2 dealers got jumped at the Trop at 7 o'clock on Friday, which if we look at the time frame, the Trop and Bally's is not far. They're not even a mile apart. So I'm like, let's think about this. Like, it could have been the same fucking guy who jumped the dealers. Could have been the same guy.
That
But
is
yeah,
all.
I was just glad to get the F out of there.
Oh yeah, that's lucky, man.
There was a post on Instagram, and Ed, I think you shared it, that somebody in one of the crews or whatever, as far as like a conglomerate of people, they put a post out there that they were looking for somebody. His stuff was in the hotel, hadn't checked in or anything along those lines. So it's like, holy crap, did something go awry? Did something major happen? But, there was a follow-up post that said that they found him. no details, no context, but it's like, hey, have you seen this person? And then a future post of, we found him. And it's like, okay, well, let's hope that person's safe. And of course, this was after Ed shared this story with us about the whole incident of leaving the trade night. And I'm like, oh, geez. Note to self, if I ever go to National, don't ever go to Atlantic City. So,
and it's weird though, because like I've been to Atlantic City hundreds of times in my life. I mean, if you live in Philly or you live in the South Jersey area, you've been to Atlantic City. I parked at that parking lot in Bally's hundreds of times. Never a problem, never an issue. But I did notice, and I told people this who were going to the National, I'm like, listen, like, word gets out. There's stupid money coming into the city with the National. There's people who, you know, don't necessarily know a city atmosphere. There might be a little naive. Like, these people are going to smell blood in the water. Like, there's going to be stuff. There's going to be incidents that happen. And there was 2 that I know of, like actual people that got jumped and got mugged. But other than that, I didn't really hear much else. And it could have been worse, but thankfully 2 is not a huge number. It shouldn't happen to begin with, but I guess it could have been worse.
Yeah.
and glad everything worked out for you, Ed, because as those messages were coming through, it's like, oh crap, what happened? You know, and at least it had we'll call it a happy ending, at least for you. But you know, it's one of those in which it'll be interesting to see if there's other stories that come out outside of what you've heard, and potentially even you, Chris, for that matter, that other stuff may not have gone down with other individuals. So we'll see. Let's hope it's not worse than some of the stories that we've already heard to this point.
Running over a potential robber was definitely not on my National to-do list.
Bingo. Oh, we're not playing bingo tonight. I'm sorry.
That's the nice part about Cleveland. Bad that it's sort of the IX Center is sort of all by itself, but it's basically a big building, like an armory type size, maybe a little bigger, and parking all the way around, and then you have the road in and out. And Chicago, a ton of hotels basically across the street from the Rosemont. So it's not like, oh man, you have to travel 3 blocks, or you've got to go through 2-3 casinos into a parking ramp with all these shady shenanigans going on around you, and just like trying to be aware of what the hell's going on. That's why I think one of the reasons why people enjoy the Cleveland Chicago experience, even though it's Cleveland, which I mean it's probably a half a step up from AC in all reality. But yeah, that when you were messaging that, it's like, holy shit, I just about got robbed. I don't know what he had. He had his hand in his pocket. And I'm like, well, that's probably usually a good indicator if he doesn't have a gun. He's trying to portray one, but you don't want to find out either. You don't want to.
I'm pretty confident he had a knife. If he had a gun, he would have pulled it out when I was walking to the car. He couldn't get close to me. I kept keeping a distance by walking fast. I mean, he'll pull a knife on you. It's like, give me your shit. Like, I think if he had a gun, he would have pulled it out. I'm pretty confident he had a knife.
Yeah, either way, that's get that conceal and carry, and like I said, let God sort them out. We can deal with them.
National moving to Texas.
Carry pepper spray while you're walking to and from your car in a deck. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and making sure people can see it. You know, at least at a minimum, it's a deterrent. It's not always going to prevent somebody, especially if they have a firearm. But still, I mean, it's definitely a help or a deterrent. Maybe avoid the possibilities. But
yeah,
it's crazy these days with everything that's going on with the economy and inflation and everything that we've experienced over these last few years, desperate times call for desperate measures for a lot of people. And
Mm-hmm.
we're going to do what they can in order to survive, whether it's nefarious or not. It's just one of those in which we live in different times right now, and it's tough all the way around for a lot of people.
Yeah,
So,
that's
why I have the hashtag Soul Survivor. That, and also I didn't get the C19 after the national. Chris, were you all feeling good after the national?
What do you mean? What are you talking about? Say
Like,
again?
you didn't get sick after the national, right?
Oh yeah, from the COVID.
Yeah.
No, I heard it was a super spreader event. When I got back, I mean, I felt pretty good. My voice was, to be honest with you, it took me 2 or 3 days to recover from it because I kind of went on a binge. I was like the national drinking, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I got back, I was like, man, I need a vacation from this vacation. But I did take one of my tests and I did come back negative. I heard a lot of people, even people we were hanging out with, caught it. So luckily mine came back negative. I only took one though. So did you catch it?
No, I did not. And it's weird because I've talked to a lot of people in the card community, and a lot of people got it. Mike Schmidt got it. I don't know if you were hearing what I was saying earlier to Steve and Vinny when for the pre-show. Like, even Mike Schmidt, he was there signed, I think, on either Friday or Saturday. He got it and couldn't go to the 1980 Philly celebration that was on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But it was crazy. Like, all these people were getting COVID. And I did notice, like, I don't know if you might have noticed this, Chris, but did you notice, like, by maybe like Friday or by Saturday, like the amount of people that were sneezing and coughing in the convention center?
Oh, I didn't notice. Were they?
Yeah, there was whenever I would walk by, I would always hear somebody sneezing. Now, that wasn't on Wednesday or Thursday, but come Friday, I just heard, like, it seemed like every aisle I was going down, I heard people coughing or sneezing or whatnot. I'm like, uh-oh.
And hardly anyone was wearing a mask. You know what I mean? So it's going
No, yeah, you're right. Well, I know someone who was wearing a mask the entire weekend and still got hit with it. So
really,
the only thing I started changing, because I was like, what? I wonder how I didn't get it. I did know one thing I kept doing pretty vigorously was I kept using hand sanitizer every time I would go through value box cards. Because if you go through the value box cards, all the people are touching them. Then you touch your face, you're screwed. So
exactly.
Get that little portable hand sanitizer going.
Mm-hmm.
Note to self: take airborne or emergency as a preemptive sort of. Probably won't help you, but anything to help boost your immune system. I mean, who knows?
Vitamins
at this point.
Yeah.
Any known cases of monkeypox caught out there? I'm just kidding.
That'll be the next issue.
That'll be the next.
So, Dave, what else you got on the L list?
Well, since Chris didn't really have anything he was looking for per se, other than the Devonta Smith low-numbered cards, and it sounds like you didn't see anything. Was there anything you guys sort of now in retrospect, after a week and a half goes by, like, man, maybe I should have pulled the trigger on that? Oh, not the buyer's remorse, but you're just like, maybe if I did a little more haggling, possibly if I went back. You think of those instances at all, or something that caught your eye, and then you maybe just didn't go back to it? You're like, the dealer's not going to budge. He's, like Ed said before, 10, 20, 30% even over comps, possibly more. And you're just like, you know what, that's not going to be a feasible road to go down, because if he's already that high over, I won't get it at a price that I really feel like I'm at least getting somewhat of a deal. Is there any of those instances, or I won't say missed opportunities, but things that you might just look back on now through a different lens?
There wasn't for me, Wes. You?
Yeah, there was one card in particular that I'm really kicking myself in the ass not getting. It was a Diamond Kings autograph of Vin Scully. It was $400, which is actually a pretty decent price. I thought it was on the high side, but when I was checking comps, I was like, oh, that was actually a pretty good price. I didn't make an offer on it, but I looked at it I looked at it on Friday, I looked at it on Saturday, and I looked at it on Sunday, and I watched the dealer interact with other people, and he was only taking like 5 to 10% off sticker. So I'm like, if I offer him $300, he's just gonna tell me to hit the road. So I'm like, ugh. But he been obviously. I mean, I'm sure people have heard Vin Scully passed away, and I'm like, fuck. I'm like, now the opportunity of owning one of his autographs just got way harder. I should have just maybe sent an offer for $375 or pay up on the sticker maybe. But that's the only card that I saw that I was actively looking for that I might have bought that I should have definitely that I have a little buyer's remorse or seller's remorse not getting that one.
Well, in the short term, you're probably right, but as we all know, after a player passes away, there's the major uptick in prices and the amount of cards listed for that matter.
Yep.
But at some point, it does this, and then it's like a drastic fall. So it's one of those in which we've all been in the hobby long enough to ride out those ups and downs and those waves and those situations that, knowing now that he's deceased and, there's not going to be anything new that ever comes about. Once things kind of soften a little bit a few months down the road, you still may be able to jump on an opportunity, Ed, if you ultimately wanted something like that.
What set was it from?
It was Diamond Kings. It was like one of his lower, like Vin Scully has a couple certified autographs. I think he's in Transcendent. I mean, that's just those cards are stupidly priced because that's a insanely expensive product, as you know. But I think his lowest end auto is actually in Diamond Kings.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Did he have one at 22 Diamond Kings?
I think it was 2021.
2021.
It was either 2020 or 2021, and it's a sticker auto.
Right.
So it's not a flashy card. It's I guess it's his lower end auto, but
right.
It's Vin Scully, so
That's
still pricey because he's an iconic Hall of Fame announcer. His voice of baseball.
Yep.
There was a lot of nice stuff though at the National. Like there was a couple cards that I was like, man, if I had a couple more thousand to blow, like there was I saw a lot of really, really nice Willie Mays 5-star autos, like stuff that you don't really see pop up too much. Couple numbered out of 10, couple gold signature autographs. There was a couple tribute Willie Mays autographs. I'm like, oh man, like some of them were surprisingly they were priced to sell, a few of them. Because if you know Willie Mays' like certified autographs, especially from 5-star tribute, they're pretty pricey because collectors want those cards. And Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, those guys are relatively low numbered in those sets. So there was one dealer in the far corner where Gary V was kind of at, or where the V friends were congregating, and he had it for $600, I think, and it was numbered out of 10. That was a beautiful card. If I would have maybe hit the Pog poker, I would have liked to have made an offer on that.
Was it Ryan Card Collector 2's table? Wasn't he beside Gary V or right there?
I don't think it was Card Collector 2. No.
Okay.
It was weird though, because every time I would walk by that area, not Card Collectors 2 area, but the Gary V area, there would be like a couple hundred people. Like I imagine the dealers around Gary V did not have a good time because
they hated it.
The V friends were circling the area, and I walk by and I'm like, I'm not even going over there. It's just a sea of people. So
I want to get a selfie with him. I've always thought, for some reason, I always like Gary Vee. I like entrepreneurship and the way he talks. But I went over there. I saw the signs were like, no selfies or anything but between 5:30 and 6 or something. He had a 30-minute window that he would do selfies. So I was like, I'm not waiting for all that.
Well, this was the first year that he actually set up at the show. I was like, is he
I thought he had been there last year.
Well, yeah, he has gone to the National. I've seen him walk around in 2019, and he was there last year, and I think in 2018 he was walking around, but he's never actually had a table. I think the one year he was a tops guest or whatever. But yeah, Mr. V and the V friends.
You jumped on those investments, right, Chris? You jumped on those NFTs.
I did not. I'm
Oh,
never been a believer of NFTs. If anyone is, that's fine. I never got into it. I just don't understand it. I guess that's one problem with me. I'm a little too old for NFTs, I think. That's a young man's game.
No, you're like the rest of us. You want something tangible that you can hold.
Yeah. I can just never wrap my head around it. You like buy a tweet for $1 million and it's an NFT. I'm like, I don't know, whatever. But can never wrap my hand around that. Who the hell would pay $1 million for the owner of Twitter's first tweet? And they do it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
It's crazy.
And it's a JPEG. That's what you want.
Yeah. Same thing with sports cards. They do Panini, and then they do NFTs. And
Yep.
I actually have one. I got a redemption out of Flawless a long time ago when it first came out. I already forgot. It's under my NFT account. That's the only one I have. It was one of those redemptions. You scratch it, you redeem it, and now you own it or whatever. I own a digital picture of a card now. Wow.
Well, on the flip side, it's no different than the trading card apps. You know, Topps still has Blunt, which is it's Topps digital. You open packs like you would if you bought a box, but
Yeah.
it's all digital. So it's basically JPEGs.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of people who've made decent amount of money selling freaking cards off the associated digital apps, and it's like a lot of it's free.
Yeah.
You can choose to pay money for some of it, but a lot of it's free, and people would pay money for some of those cards. So
You've heard of the NBA Hot Shots, right?
oh yeah,
Packs?
yep.
It's crazy. Some of those videos of LeBron dunking and stuff are going for like so much money. I'm like, what am I missing here? I can watch that on YouTube. What's going on here? I just don't get it. Like I say, I'm too old for, I guess, NFTs. I don't know. I don't get it.
No, that makes sense. I mean, you said it YouTube, or you can go to ESPN and they'll show highlights every 10 minutes of it. And
Yep.
it's what we call free.
Exactly.
Or you pay internet or whatever your cell phone bill, and if you have data or whatever, it's like, okay, you can watch this at any point, any time, and you don't have to pay $2.4 million to have a QR code of something that.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Huh? What? Food. How was
Eric,
the food?
shut up. Sorry, Eric. I expect that payment in cash. There's your hockey
Brett
card.
Hull?
That was Brett Hull. Of course, he sends that as I'm outside smoking a cigarette, so I'm still accepting payment immediately for his statement. Everybody's a witness. Everybody's a witness.
Yeah.
Yeah, checks in the mail.
There was a good deal of hockey at the National this year. That was a nice surprise. There's a good amount of showcases with some hockey.
What about value boxes?
Everything.
A couple value boxes filled with hockey. Benny, some dollar boxes organized by team and stuff like that.
Then you getting breaks, or do you just collect singles?
I do a little bit of both.
Both?
I bust a lot of stuff myself, and
Personal boxes,
yeah,
not groups.
no, I haven't ventured into the whole world of breakers as per se.
Yeah.
I always watch your stuff to figure out what's coming out.
Right.
So you're my reference material. But
Mhm.
I like, my daughter's 10. She's going to be 11. I got a 30-year-old and a 26-year-old, and they've lost that luster to hang out with Dad and break cards. So I'm riding this Pokemon, soccer, baseball, football, basketball, hockey, whatever she wants to break, I'll break it. So
I got you.
Mr. Joey, Mr. Birdcat.
Hey, what's going on?
Hola.
Hello.
Ed, what the heck happened? Like, we saw each other for like 5 minutes total, and that was about it.
I think it was just that one day we were going through the value boxes.
And well, I was gonna go up to you guys at the rooftop get together, and then you all of a sudden you were out the door. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, that was at I think I was leaving. That was at 11 o'clock. Although
I got there and I walked in and just started bullshitting with whoever's in front of me. That was that was the end of that.
The thing with that rooftop though, you had to wait like 40 minutes for the elevator.
Yeah, we had someone show us where to go because we were like, where are we going?
I should have stayed longer though. If I would have stayed longer,
You wouldn't have had the, but on the
yeah.
side, you wouldn't have had the story.
That's
So,
true.
I mean, come on.
That's
Come
true.
on. You gotta
I'm
have
terrified of heights, and I was up there, and I was not. Were you in the picture, Ed?
Yeah, I'm in the yeah.
Oh, yeah. We did the picture, and all of a sudden you're gone. I'm like, well, okay. It was hard, like you said. We couldn't communicate. I somewhat could communicate with people at times, and then it would go nuts.
Yeah, because we were chatting via Instagram a few times.
I had Verizon, but if I was on the outskirts, I could a text would finally go through or a picture. It was tough, but I found that if you got towards the outside, on the outer edges, it worked for me. I don't know. I didn't have much problem with it because I heard you guys talking about it. With that first day when everybody didn't have anything, I went on to this place called AC Only, free internet. Boom, worked sometimes, but watching the dealers struggle without comps at their fingertips was awesome. The first day it was just amazing because it went right back to old school. If they didn't have a price on it and you asked them what you're looking for, and they had no idea. Some of these people, it was awesome. Went right back to the Stone Age.
Pull out a Beckett book.
Yeah,
$12, arrow down.
It was I remember asking our RBI says we had to pay $80. Ryan said we got to pay $80 for internet. I'm like, well, you put prices on everything. What's yes, for deals coming in, I understand that, but still, if they wanted to make a deal, they were just going to have to go off the top of their heads, and a lot of people did that in trade nights. In the first trade night on Thursday was the same thing. They went. We couldn't get on internet very much at all during that trade night in the National on Thursday. So everyone was just flying by the seat of their pants, which isn't a bad thing. Everyone was on an even playing field. You know your stuff. You know what you're asking for it. If you get it, you get it, and you don't, you don't. It's no big deal. But you'd have to be well versed in every aspect of every card, and that's tough to do. Especially for someone like me who has like 3 areas of expertise and the rest of it I don't know for pricing wise because I don't follow anything like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was interesting to say the least. I remember trying to call someone who was on the other side of the convention, and it was like it broke up the whole entire time. Or like, just meet me here.
Couldn't be done. That's why I felt like a jerk. I felt like a dick a couple days because when I would leave the convention center, going back to the parking lot, that's when the great pinging would happen. I would walk, boom, 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 boom. I would get like 40 messages between Facebook, Instagram, and actual text messages. It would be like 4 missed calls, And then you get these text messages being like, "Hey, where are you at? At the VIP lounge. Where are you at? Over at David Adams. Come say hi." Like, I'm like, oh man, like I'm not being an anti-social douchebag. Like I just didn't get these messages, man. Like, and it would do that every time I would walk back to the parking garage. On the way back up, here comes the wave of text messages and missed calls and stuff.
Or what's the comp on this card, and multiple text messages after, and like later on in the day, holy crap, I sent that like 3 hours ago.
Yeah, it's exactly what it was. I was trying to send pictures of the Super Bowl autos for Luke. I sent one. I look at my phone a few hours later. It's still it's pending. I'm like, I gotta walk outside just to get him this picture. I don't remember where this card is. It's been so long. So I don't know. It was definitely a challenge, but I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal to me as it's still the most. And I'm going to be the pessimist in the whole darn thing, because I found it very hard to look at showcases again, because when people start making deals, they plop everything on the showcase where I'm trying to look at that showcase. The only person that didn't have that was Jason Gillespie. He had a little corner. He could go around the table to make a deal with somebody away from the showcases. It was the most genius thing that you could do with the area they had. No one was plopping stuff on it. No, there's no cases sitting right on top of cases. It was convenient. So if you had to make a big deal with him, you could just walk around the corner inside of his table area and make a deal.
You know what though? I'm starting to appreciate that more, because I'm trying to use that more to my advantage. When the Pelican Case boys drop their stuff on the dealer's table, like the dealer has full attention onto that. Like, they're looking through the cards. They might be making a really high value transaction, and if you go up to a dealer and they're in the middle of a negotiation with that, and you see like a lower end or mid-tier card you want to buy, and you say, hey, would you take, I don't know, let's say if it's 60, hey, would you take 40 for that? They'll sell you the card to get you the hell out of there. They'll be like, here. And that's what I did that on two separate cards. I did it on twice. I did that. And I was like, wow, I need to start implementing this strategy more.
You're a glass half full kind of guy. Then
this is pretty decent. This is working in my favor.
I mean, it could, I guess, but I just want to see some of the cards, and sometimes the deals that they're making are a half-hour negotiation, and you're like, I can't see any. And I'm looking for my specific stuff, and the years that I'm looking for. And I can't even look at if this person has that, because they're making a deal for whatever. It's frustrating because I feel very old school there. I don't have the stupid Pelican Case. I felt like I was in minority. It's changed so much. When it wasn't like that at all a few years ago.
Collector, flipper.
There's nothing wrong with making money and flipping a card, but to have no interest in cards whatsoever just for the money, that's where you're like, okay, now you're wasting my time because I'm actually looking for something specific. And by the way, I want to say, Chris, me and Alex were talking, Alex Tressler.
Yeah.
When you walked in a building in the breakers area, the people should have bowed to you. For being, and they have, some people don't even know who you are. Some of these breakers, and we're like, you don't know what old school is. This is the person that started it. This is what gives you a job. You know what I'm saying? So we were. I didn't get to see you at the National, but I was planning to. But that's plans go right out the window with me. Right. I go by the seat of my pants for the most part. But we did drop Alex off for you to go gambling with. He go gambling with you guys. He won
Alex met up with us at Golden Nugget and Gamble.
Yeah, we dropped him off there. And he says he won a bunch on craps, and he took
$2,000 in roulette.
Oh yeah, roulette. And the next morning, here's a weird. You want weird story, Dave? Listen to this. We got to our Airbnb, and we were there already a day. because we stayed at the first night at Harrah's, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get out in the morning to go to the National, and Alex is with me and Everett, and Alex looks, he says, "What in the world is that?" And there's a light pole right by where Everett parked, and right there's just a random set of dentures sitting on the ground. So Alex had to take a picture of it. We're like, "What? Where? These weren't here yesterday." He says, "I know this." I mean, it was kind of sketchy where the Airbnbs were.
There was a pair of teeth.
Just dentures, yeah, just sitting there. Guess you didn't need a
Were they
base.
soaking in Pepsodent? Glass.
Well, yeah, I don't know. That was the mystery of the random teeth. I don't know. But that was this National was just like I don't know. I felt like there was no. Everyone was upset because of the Wi-Fi thing. I guess I'm the more pessimist of it. I mean, I did have a good time and a lot of things away from the National, but actually walking around the show was a challenge. You just couldn't move around, and you know, Dave, how much I hate people. It's just like last year. It was very tough too.
Did you get that Bart Starr patch that I told you about, or that you saw?
No, it's sold, but that was on eBay for. Ooh, it was on eBay for $4.99 or best offer, and the guy took a few days and he sold it, but he had 400 on it there. It's an insanely rare thing to show up, and I was really contemplating it, but he wasn't going lower than like $350 on it on a patch card. I know when I got the jersey auto from Fabric of the Game, which is it's to 21 also. I got that. It's hard to when I got it for that card for $450 and I got to pay $350 for the patch. I don't know. It got to me. The prices were ridiculous, obviously. The stuff that I collect the most wasn't in cases. If you love Justin Herbert, if you love Joe Burrow, that was the show for you. But I mean, that's in every year. There's always some guys that are just going to dominate showcases. But the stuff that I like to collect the most was a ghost, which means either people don't think it's worthy of a case or they think it's too worthy of a case and they don't put it out.
No, it's all about the quick flip. So anybody who's mainstream, high on the hot list type situation, the GOAT players at the time, those are always going to be the ones that they're going to get out there because they're hoping to be able to cycle through stuff quickly. But I want to. So we're coming up on an hour and a half. Chris, I didn't know exactly how much time you had. I know Dave asked the question about food, so I want to make sure we circle back to food because you know, because Dave, he'll say it himself. He's the fat guy. He loves his food, so he's interested to know kind of where all you guys went and things along those lines. But at the same time, I wanted to be cognizant of your time because
no problem.
Let's face it, you do run a business. You do have to get up. You have to start working tomorrow and prepping for your day tomorrow.
I have to actually list all of this tonight when I get off this live feed. Can you see this?
Oh, wow.
I have to. I do these consignment for this man, and I live in. By the way, Dave, I'm in Seven Lakes now. I think he said Wilmington earlier.
Yep.
I was in Wilmington for I grew up there and everything, but my store is actually in Seven Lakes. It's about 2 hours from Wilmington, 2.5. But anyway, this man comes in and he just has an unlimited supply of graded vintage cards. And every Tuesday night, he wants me to list them. There's mantles, all kinds of stuff. I mean, I'll have all these listed tonight. But anyway, when I get off the live feed, he wants me to list them. I listed some lots earlier. Now I got to list those. But yeah, about food, if you're talking about, we ate at Vic and Anthony's. Now, granted, this place is pricey. Dime, a friend of mine, he's on the live feed. He says every time he goes anywhere, he wants to eat at one of the fancy steakhouses. So he set a reservation. He had tickets for the National. He set a reservation I want to say 2 or 3 months ago. Anyway, we went there and we got the bone-in ribeye. That's what I ordered. He had the filet. It was like 5 of us, Tom B, Fong. Am I missing anybody at that table? I was hammered. But anyway, bone-in ribeye was crazy good. I was like, man, these are actually worth like $80 a steak. I mean, never had a ribeye that melts in your mouth. It's crazy how great it was. And oh, by the way, when you order sides, everything's a la carte. So when you order sides, everybody just shares it. You know what I mean? It's a big bowl of like all gratin potatoes and a big bowl of broccoli and a roll of this. Anyway, man, that place was awesome. And that White House sandwich place, that's where Tom B took us. Those sandwiches were killer. Other than that, I can't remember where else we ate. Noodle places or something. I can't remember. But I would just remember Vic and Anthony's at Golden Nugget. If you're ever there, give it a shot. Now, granted, it's pricey. It's not cheap. It's not like, a $2 steak on the street or something out of a vendor. But I enjoyed it. What about you there, Wes? Did you have any good meals while you were there?
I ate at the local places. I got Manco's, their pizza place in Ocean City. And then I got Rojo's. That's a local Mexican place in Ocean City too. I mean, it's pretty far from Atlantic City. It's about like a 40-minute drive. Mm-hmm. So I just went, there to eat. So I ate there a couple days. And other than that, like, I think I ate like the Metropolitan at the Regatta the one day, which they were pretty decent, but nothing too extravagant, nothing too crazy.
Yeah. And we went one time out, but then I earned all these points on this card. I was going down the escalator into the food court area. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. At Regatta. There's an escalator that takes you downstairs. There's all this food court type stuff.
Yeah. The Hanging Daz is there. You got like a burger place.
There's a burger and fries
Asian noodle bar.
Yep. We went there one night. I was using my card a couple times down there. I didn't realize I was earning all this money on this card. I could swipe it and not have to pay for anything. Apparently, if you lose $500 hands at Pie Gal, they give you a couple dollars on this card to spend.
Yeah, the MGM card. Yeah, they should throw you something for the food. Yeah. They should give you some food comps.
Yeah, exactly. They're throwing points. So, but yeah, I would suggest if you're ever in town, that steakhouse, if you got the cash or you don't mind blowing money, but it was really good, man. I was like leaving that night. I was like, we met actually Alex after that. Burtcat, we met literally when we left the restaurant. He was outside waiting on us. So,
yeah, he was all jacked up to go see you guys. I know that. So yeah, we dropped him off. We headed to the YouTube get together right after that. I think that was the same night, Friday. Yeah.
It was Friday. Yep. So you guys had a YouTube get together?
That was what was on top of the rooftop of the Claridge of the rooftop bar. Which was highly interesting. There could have because a lot of people don't go to the East Coast. There wasn't as many, but there's still a good amount of people there from YouTube. It was really impressive, and I'm like, unless you're in the show, unless you were just like happened to be by someone and recognize them, you didn't know where. Like it was hard coordinating anything.
Yeah.
So that was probably the best. I thought and there's people I didn't even know there that I just made friends with that I didn't know their channel at all. There are a lot of baseball guys. Since I'm a football guy, we are in the minority for a lot of it. But that's okay. I mean,
try being a hockey guy.
There was a table, and I forgot to mention to Vinny and Dave that they exclusively dealt in hockey, and they said they had a sign up saying they only bought hockey. I'm like, oh man, this is your area right here.
It was probably my boy from Detroit.
I don't know where they were from because I had a hockey card to sell, but I'm not selling my Ovechkin just yet. I'm going to wait till he gets 30 more goals. I mean, I had it out there for sale, but in trade nights, I had a lot of offers on it, but it's whatever it is. But yeah, that was like the hockey mecca for whatever these people were. I said, we deal in hockey only. We buy hockey only. Don't bring your other stuff here. I'm like, oh yeah.
That sounds like Tim. It's his thing's called Just Hockey, and it's basically vintage, Future Watch, Young Guns, and then every other hockey card that you can think of.
I've seen a lot of the new stuff in it but I just glanced by it because my my knowledge of hockey cards is very minimal, but I'm like, I looked at them close because they have Upper Deck. They're like, oh, I miss you. It looks so nice because I'm just like, why can't cards look like art? My football cards look like this, and they moved on. But yeah, it was pretty amazing for that. But there was more hockey than I've ever seen. Which
This makes me feel good because 2023 is an option for me.
it was beautiful. I mean, like I says, Upper Deck hockey. I don't know if you're bored of Upper Deck, but I'm sure longing for it. Good night. If they would make some of my football cards in Upper Deck again, I would be thrilled. But it's either here or there. But I was going to say there was more hockey than I've ever seen.
And it's all game used. There's none.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Very rare to see player own.
I mean, I know the Red Wings is what my team that I follow. And after that, I don't know anything. It took me the longest time to even learn the rules of hockey. Then that's when you really start enjoying watching hockey, once you find out what the hell is going on. But yeah, there was good stuff there. And I think if you go, you're gonna enjoy yourself because you're gonna find pockets of hockey, and you won't move. You'll be like, okay, I'm here.
Yeah, it's reassuring because that's always my biggest thing. Why I collect all the sports. Hockey is number one, baseball is two, basketball and football and soccer and movie cards and Star Wars, that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. No, Ed, did you see any of the Game of Thrones? I seen a whole case of Game of Thrones cards. Just the whole damn thing was. Did you come across that case?
Yes, there was a lot of non-sports.
As
someone who has been looking for non-sports at the National for a couple of years, there was more non-sports that I saw at this National than all the other ones combined. Like I saw Star Wars showcases.
Mm-hmm.
There was a bunch of Marvel PMG cases, tons of Marvel. Probably Marvel was the one I saw the most of. Then Star Wars, good amount of Game of Thrones. Saw some Walking Dead. The Leaf autograph series, a bunch of those celebs, kind of like random celebrity autographs and stuff. But yeah, there was quite a bit. There was a lot.
Well,
a lot of the prices were completely outrageous.
Right. Oh, wrestling.
But it was cool to see. What was that? I'm sorry.
Oh, wrestling like WWF, WWE.
Yeah, there was a lot of that too.
A lot of that.
Yeah, AEW, WWE. The one booth was the one dealer was booth 316, and they all had Stone Cold themed shirts on. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Amazing how that works out. So, Chris, I do have a hypothetical question for you. Normally, we don't go hypothetical, but I figured I'd pose the question. Now that you've gone to your first national, you kind of know what it is as it pertains to like a customer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you going in and enjoying the show as a collector and not as a business.
Mm-hmm.
If the opportunity ever presented itself, would you go and be a part of like the Breakers Pavilion?
I guess I would. I don't know. They've asked me for years to do that. Remember back in the day when I was really big? Like back from like 2008 to like 2012. That people that used to run it used to be like, who are we missing out here? And everybody would be like, Cards Infinity, or the Hobby Box or Cards Infinity. And I was like, man, my struggle was always shutting my store down. I was like, am I really going to shut my store down and like go all the way out there? And then I have to lug all these cards back. And I've pretty much always been a one-man show. Yeah, I would have one extra person like my ex-girlfriend or something. She would help me pack every now and again, for a while, or somebody would help me like that. But I was like, man, I can't shut it down. But it would be an experience, I guess, to go out there and do the breaks and everything. I know Whatnot and all them are taking over. You guys familiar with Whatnot now?
Yeah.
This is how old I am right now. Like all these new sites coming out, I suck.
Don't sell on there. Do not sell on there.
Stay away from it.
Anyway, Whatnot and all that's where you break now, and it's the Breakers Whatnot Pavilion or whatever it is. And I'm like,
I'm kind of glad to be like old school because I can't follow any of this stuff and understand it. Thank God I watched Chris. that was about the extent of my watching stuff for breaks.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I finally just got on Instagram a couple of years ago.
Me too.
So, yeah, and I followed him. I'm like,
Me
Chris
too.
is on here.
I finally made it many years after it got popular.
So I mean,
I'm by the way, I'm the worst person at social media. I don't know how to do it right. I'll like post a card. Hey, I just hit this. I don't know what to say. I'm terrible at social media.
Yeah,
all the kids nowadays, they got like 4 platforms running. They got breaks going on Whatnot and Twitch and this, that, and the other. And they're like, their Instagrams and everything are just lit up, and they got 50,000 followers and all this stuff. And I'm like, damn, I missed the boat on this whole social media thing. I'm still a one-channel guy. YouTube, that's it.
We
appreciate
appreciate
most
you.
popular thing now for me. I have people following me on Instagram, and I don't even know how they even found me.
Right.
I don't know who they are. I don't know. I'm like, well, Instagram seems so not personal. It's just like,
Yeah.
That's why I still like making YouTube videos, because it's a little more personal. I get to talk because I love to talk. It's a given, but it just does. It lets me document that. Instagram has helped me like trying to remember what I have. Like, do I have this already? Let me look.
Yeah.
But that's about
Like
it.
a catalog.
Yeah, that's what I basically do it for. I don't do it for anybody else's enjoyment. I do it for just so I can remember, because I have CSR. Can't remember shit. Or CRS. See what I mean?
Yeah, CRS.
But I felt like I'm like behind the 8 ball because of not knowing what's going on with all these cards. I'm like, how in the heck did this 12-year-old get a $10,000 card and then just like showing it off? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's gone.
A video with a kid that had he was 12 years old, $25,000 card he was trying to flip or sell or something. I'm like, how the hell that kid get a $25,000 card at 12?
Well, there was an influencer group when Card Collector 2 was part of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys is kind of like the pessimist, and I can't remember his name, but I wanted to follow this guy, but I'm just like, I'm not. But he said he's a dealer, and the first thing he got when a kid comes up to his case, he asks, "Your money or your parents' money?" And the kid has to answer, and then they make the deal. They'll go from there. But I'm like, that is the greatest question I've ever heard, because I don't know how many people are going to answer it. Honestly, I really don't. But I mean, right. I'm like, I went from being like the young collector collecting Hall of Fame to being an old guy overnight. I know I've only been really hard in the community for 12 years. But during those 12 years, I became a dinosaur, it feels like.
Yeah, me too.
A lot of us.
Crazy, man.
A lot of us.
We all have.
Going there. We're traveling down that road.
I'm kind of happy about that. I'm not really like, I'm just like, I'm mesmerized sometimes. Cause I'm like, but I'm happy where this is. If you just want to go and flip cards, I guess do what you do. But
yeah,
for people like the collectors, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with selling anything. That's not a problem. I sold for things for profit at the National. It's not a big deal. Everyone does it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just not my. I'm not constantly just turning things over. I like money just as much as the other person, but I'm not going to. I'm going to work at my collection first. I'm going to sell things to add to the collection. That's basically what I'm doing.
I get what you're saying. There was a lot of that on display at the National. It was kind of more eye-opening this go around at the National. I definitely feel like there's a kind of like a cultural shift in the hobby that's going on, especially with the younger generation. Like all of us here, there's cards in our collection that we're never going to sell. Like we're just going to have those cards probably till we die. But with what I saw this weekend at the National, I don't even think half these people even care about cards, care about the
Yeah.
hobby. It's just they're money they PC money. They
Yep.
they PC the Benjamins. Like it's
Well,
all about
it's
just
such a-
constantly moving. Like nothing's sacred. It's just.
And I
it's
always
just
made
the
the
pursuit.
example of you got this card, boom, I'm going to make 10% on it. You know, if you're buying realty, you know how hard you got to pay taxes. All this stuff gone. You can keep moving and flip. That's why people have come to our hobby, because they can't make money off the housing as easy unless you're gonna. You got to put money into that house. You got to fix it up. You got to pay taxes on it, and then you got to finally end up moving it. When you can just have a small piece of cardboard that you could fit in your hand and make 10%, 20%. I mean, yeah, it's an easy thing to do. Do you have to know what you're doing? Of course you do. But you just basically got to know how much you're going to be making on return. I mean, that's on anything. But even the stuff in my collection, I see the prices go for it, and I go, wow. I didn't pay that. I don't think I ever would. But you're just like, it makes it tough for us, because I think the hobby has gone away from, it's come somewhat circle from base rookies and grading them to Hall of Fame now again. Hall of Fame and vintage are hot right now, in my opinion, what I saw at the show. Anything Hall of Fame was flying. There was easy moves. Yes, they were still like the newer stuff moving, but you're just moving it for something newer again. And it,
it's all cyclical. You know, there's always those shifts. You know, since we are a collector mindset, we see those shifts. We see them a little bit more regularly because we've been in the hobby for a while. And for you guys who go to shows, or I should say Ed, since you go to shows frequently, you've seen it more per se than probably the rest of us. But I wanted to kind of add to your cultural shift, though, Ed, your statement as it pertains to like a cultural change. What I find interesting is I 100% agree with what you had stated, but it also applies in like the breaker world, because you know Chris, old school, always been transparent, always taking care of the customer, looking out for the customer, always, you know, there is none of this shady shit like this, and you know Chris has always been on point, and there's never been any sort of situation in his complete run of his business of where there's shenanigans or possibility of any sort of scandal or anything else. Back in our day, Chris, if you did something like that, you probably would have been finished.
Yeah, we would have been gone.
You know,
so true. It's so true.
Because we look at our main YouTube years and people doing those shenanigans. They were called out, and within a matter of days and weeks, those people were gone.
Yeah. Whole channel's deleted.
Yep, they were non-existent, because it's like, oh no, you're not going to come in here and screw up our hobby and our fun and our enjoyment.
Yeah.
You know, this is supposed to be enjoyable. It gives us opportunities to buy into higher end breaks and have chances for nice carts for those of us who can't afford to buy a case of Exquisite or National Treasures or things along. But nowadays, you have scandals left and right all the time. And yet these motherfuckers are still top echelon, and people are still spending money with them. I don't get it.
Me neither.
I do not get it.
I'm glad I don't get it.
Well, and I agree. But you know, it's one of those in which that's why I, like everybody else, we still go back to when we want to see what's going on with the new product. You know, Chris doesn't do as many personal box breaks as what he once did, because let's face it, most people can't afford them.
Right.
That's true.
You still go back.
I'm the Blaster King now.
When you,
I'm opening blasters. I used to be only National Treasures and Flawless. Now I'm like Space Jam, Blaster. I'm just kidding.
But we still go back and watch to get an idea of what the product looks like, and
Oh,
to
yeah.
have an idea.
When a new product hits, I was right on YouTube. What is Chris showing so far? That's what I've been.
Yep.
That's what everybody would do. They would tell me they
videos,
refresh
I'm
the
like,
page.
8 videos of the same product. I'm like, what is in this product? I'm going to find out today.
Yeah. People used to tell me all the time, we go to your channel to see what news. This is back in the day, of course, but they'd be like refreshing the page to see like what new and stuff and what's coming out of it,
Yep.
like National Treasures and all the good stuff, Immaculate and everything. They'd just be like wanting to see. And then they would make honestly buying decisions based upon what the cards look like, conditions,
Yep.
stuff like that. So those days are gone, damn it.
I know. We used to.
It's so saturated the market now, and I'm terrible with social media. I probably be frowned upon as an entrepreneur because I didn't expand myself when I could have, like way back in the day. Like even back in 12, 13, 14 when I was really hot. But
you're still doing
still grinding.
And you're still doing it for yourself, Chris. You haven't let it change you. You've maintained the same level of integrity that you have from day one. The fact that you still do the free breaks, the rant breaks, you do the military break, and Dave and I have talked about this from time to time, and I think Vinny's been in those conversations that it used to chat my ass when people would bitch because they didn't win something in a free break. It's like, are you freaking serious, people?
Yep.
He's doing this out of the kindness of his heart. He doesn't have to do this. He engages the manufacturers. He gets product. He opens the product. Sometimes he does sealed product. He gets 8x10s. All of this stuff, he is taking money out of his pocket to give back to those who have supported him. And you're gonna fucking bitch. There is a problem with this. For 2 years, I had a ton of spots and I didn't win a damn thing. But one of those in which it's like, hey, it's a chance.
Right.
It's a free thing. If I win something, great. If not, who cares?
Yeah.
I just
a lot of people would get upset about that, believe it or not. They were like, I can't believe I wasted my whole Saturday watching your giveaway and I didn't win anything or something. I'm like,
I think that'd be like that to the
free.
end. It's not ever going to change. People are always going to complain about something.
Yeah, but how the times are different now.
I'll complain about things, but there's usually a reason behind it. But there's no reason for that when it's a free thing. You're like, okay,
Well, that's the thing. It's free.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what people always fail to realize and take into consideration, it's not like everything that Chris puts in those free breaks is from like Topps or Panini or Upper Deck. He goes and looks at his shelves and is like, okay, this one.
It's usually I spend between 10 and 15 grand of my own money on those things.
I know you do. I know you do.
Just grabbing stuff. I'll be like, screw it. Let me grab a National Treasures. I'll screw it.
One year you did flawless.
Flawless. Yeah.
It's and you still had people griping and complaining because you had to increase the amount of money spent in order to get spots because you felt like you needed to add more to it in order for it to be worthwhile. It's like, damn you people. Damn you people.
That doing it on a Saturday, your day off, your free time, and you're spending 4 hours, 5 hours doing just the live feed on blog, and then going to packaging shit up. It's like that's like a whole day, your whole Saturday shot. From giving away shit.
And then when people win, it's email. Hey, can you ship that out? Can you ship this? Can you ship it here? I'm like, please, for the love of God, let's wait till Monday.
Yeah, you're just.
I promise I won't keep your free stuff. I'll ship it out Monday.
Yeah, you won't keep your free Panini shirt or whatever you got.
It was crazy. Some people would get so mad that they didn't win. And then I eventually had to change. Like, I'd be like, listen, do not waste your whole Saturday watching this. You're not going to win. I promise you, you're not going to win. If you do win, you got super lucky.
Yep.
I just started changing the rules. Don't waste your whole Saturday watching this free giveaway. You're not going to win. Because I didn't want people to waste their whole 5 hours of Saturday and be like not winning and like, what did I waste my whole Saturday for? You know? So I was just don't watch. It'll be all right. You'll see if you get something in the mail.
Yeah.
If you want.
It's one of those though that it's still enjoyable because since it's the freebie and it's not for a customer and it's not a break, you kind of let loose a little bit because it's not within business hours. You're for the non-working Chris, which a lot of people don't realize. Chris is the same person regardless, but outside of work, Chris is
drinker.
Chris is different.
I'm empty.
We used to talk, Chris, and keep me honest here. Back when we used to communicate frequently, there were times in which we talked for 45 minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
About this and that. And, we always talk about, one of our main mantras here, Chris, is, cards kind of brought us together, but the connections really are the reason why we hang around, the friendships. And, I never imagined the opportunity for us to click and get to know each other really well outside of me spending money. And it wasn't because I spent money that you and I became friends at that point in time. It's like the connection, and we would just chit chat and everything else along those lines. And, it was freaking awesome. But on the flip side, it's like people fail to understand and realize that you're there to run a business. And I didn't reach out in hopes that you're going to cut me a deal and we didn't become friends because I spent money or you were going to cut me. That had nothing to do with it. Right. It was a legitimate connection. And I don't even know why we started like talking all the time. Honestly, it just kind of happened. It just kind of happened. And, it was.
Then you disappeared.
But I told you why, and that's because my personal phone actually like glitched out. So like my screen like would do this, like just shake, so I couldn't see anything. And because I had a personal phone and a work phone, I'm like, screw this. Why am I paying for my personal phone when everybody can call me on my work phone type situation? And then, of course, my personal phone crapped out, and I don't know where the charger is, so I can't charge it to see if maybe I can get lucky and pull contacts off of there. But at the same time, that was, however many years ago. Hell, your cell phone number could have changed by then.
So, that's true.
I was going to say something. The first time I ever messaged Steve about anything was because Chris told me who the Broncos Terrell Davis person was, and that was back in like 2011.
Yeah.
So he was already looking out for you back then.
The TD guy always collected TD.
Yeah, but I still do. I still do to this day. That hasn't changed.
He's like, contact. That's when you could message on YouTube. He says, contact here, and then maybe you guys. Of course, I don't think I've ever found anything that Steve needs, but I still try. It's tough.
Well, and I give you credit, Joey. I was like, it's one of those in which I appreciate when people look out for me. And if it's people that I know, I'm going to be brutally honest. Hey, you know what? Yeah, it's a cool card, but the price is too high. I'm going to be one of those guys.
Well, I agree.
Chris actually got me in touch with two people in which I still had those cards to this day, and they're two one-on-ones. All that Chris opened for personal box breaks back in 2010, 2011. Yeah. And they're still in my collection. They're still in my collection. So
I hate to cut it short, but I gotta list all this eBay tonight for this guy. It's 10 o'clock at night. So
I was going to say that.
It was awesome. It was awesome seeing you, Steve, again, and everybody, Dave, Joey, Wes, nice to meet you. You guys gonna hang out longer? I was gonna jump off and start doing this before I have to go to bed.
If you gotta go. It's
handle your business. Handle your business, Chris. Thanks for joining. It was good to see you.
Yeah, man, it was awesome seeing you guys for real. Thanks for reaching out, man. It was nice meeting you.
Absolutely.
And Bert, Joey, and
I'll shoot you a message, Chris, and maybe we can sync back up.
Yeah, for sure, man. Hit me up on my anytime you want to reach me, man. It's always cardsinfinity.com. So
I know where to find you.
what's up?
Yep, I know where to find you.
Cool, bro. It was good seeing you guys. We'll see you next
Thanks for
time.
hanging out.
Take care,
Take
Chris.
care.
Bye.
Later.
That was freaking awesome to have him on. Nice job, Dave. I like the surprises, but I don't. But you know, and I forgot that this was his first national because I think I saw a post on Instagram too that he was there.
Yeah, and I just every time I never saw him. There's people that I never saw at the national. He was one of the people I never ran across. I was hoping to, but it just never happened. But I mean, yeah, it was all random though. Like I said, you weren't gonna coordinate anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
if
you
you
have
didn't-
spotty
If you
Wi-Fi,
didn't randomly bump into somebody walking down, like you're pretty much screwed.
By the way, Ed, did you see the guy that was next to me in the ring? He was like every other card, he was pulling out there and just taking it. He had like $4,000, $6,000 worth of $10 cards.
Dude, his value boxes were really nice.
They
Those
probably
boxes.
were, and I was finding stuff. I'm like, Dave would have loved these value boxes because they were just chock full of like low numbered 90s parallels. It was just crazy.
There was good stuff there.
I probably would have made that. What do you want for it all?
It was a lot. There was a lot of it. I mean,
Yeah, warehouse number 41.
right? Paul shared quite a bit of some of his 90s stuff that he was able to snag last week. So that was cool to see.
Yeah, he hit some home runs on those Randy Moss cards. They were fucking.
Yeah, he did.
And the price he paid, it was just dumb. I'm like, so that's why I actually had like the juices going for like already thinking for next year. That's the only thing we didn't ask Chris. Was Chicago going to be an option? But maybe down the road he can come back on and regale us with some more wild of being a card shop card for the owner. And just some goofy shit that he's dealt with over the years.
If he had to talk about goofy shit that he's dealt with over the years, he's going to take the entire show.
That's fine. That's fine. You know, it's one of those in which we wanted to focus on the national because I do have a lot of questions for Chris. There's a lot of stuff going on in the hobby that, you know, may or may not impact him. So yeah, it would be cool to definitely have him back and dive more into, you know, some of the hobby related stuff that could, you know, impact his business and so on and so forth. So that's definitely something that we can look at, and knowing that he joined and hung out and filled us with some great information. It's like, we're moving on up, guys. We're moving on up.
And I talked to people on the phone before this. He's just like he is in his videos. There is no falseness with this breaker at all. You know what you're getting. He is the dude he is. There's a lot of falseness in these other breakers that I see out there. Not all of them, but there's people that are trying to be influencers and get paid a different way. You know, being an influencer or whatever it is, or being social media paid, and you can see that that's not that person at all.
Yeah, now people do giveaways and they don't even send you the cards.
No, I wonder who you're talking about, Ed.
Oh yeah, saw a lot of that this week. They were pretty prominent in Atlantic City, and man, they got a legion of fans. Man, they got legions of fans, and I just don't get it. I really don't get it. Like what you were saying earlier, Steve, where like if someone did if someone would have put a toe outside of shadiness, like if they would just move the cards a little off screen, they shut that shit down right now, man. Like back in the day, like if you did that, done.
Yeah,
get out of here. You're done. Yeah. But nowadays, like,
well, it's acceptable.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's not just the shadiness with the breaks. It's using your hobby clout as a way to freaking, bully somebody, and that's acceptable. Let's look back at all the shit that's transpired in the last 12 to 18 months. Go ahead.
The biggest difference now is it's acceptable because there's no repercussions.
Well, that's what I was getting at. That's where I was going with that, because it's like, oh, here's this thing, this situation happens. People are scared to call people out, or those of us who don't have any hobby clout, we can call them out, but since we're peons, it falls on deaf ears. Nobody in the higher echelon is willing to call these people out, and yet within a matter of weeks, it's like it's
forgotten about
and
washed.
And I'm sorry, I don't forget that shit.
Nope.
And I feel like I can speak for all 5 of us. We don't forget that shit. It stays right up here, and at some point, if somehow, shape, form, or fashion, we get in the upper echelon somehow, which we know it'll never happen.
Don't want to be.
Destroy from the inside.
But those are the opportunities in which I think all of us will sit there and go like, okay, now that we have the following and we have 300 to 500 people sitting here, let's have a conversation.
I think it's only going to get worse, if I'm being brutally honest. Like
I do too.
I think it's only going to get worse.
I do too. It's unfortunate, but the only thing we can hope for is one of 2 things. At some point, some of these breakers, as things change with the Fanatics deal and so on and so forth, we don't know how that's going to impact some of these. It may help some. It may help the ones that we hate.
Yep.
But when the money no longer becomes as substantial as what it was, I think a lot of people are going to disappear. Because if they can't make fat stacks of cash like they have been, hand over fist, is it worth it to continue to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Because of production value, your crew, the number of people, all of this kind of crap. The other aspect is some of those that claim to be collectors / investors that, as the market continues to stabilize as far as card values are concerned, I still think we're going to lose some of those people too. Because let's face it, all the big GOAT top tier guys, for the most part, all their shit's dropping.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not seeing these big returns that we were seeing. Yes, because Golden is a marketing genius. He's still bringing in big bucks on a lot of cards. But that's one entity. Mm-hmm. You're not seeing that at PWCC or Heritage Auctions. Some cards may pull that kind of coin, but most of them don't. So you're seeing a softening, or I should say more of a stabilization across the board. And as long as that continues, people are still going to slowly start. They're going to ride off in the sunset. And it's like, good riddance, folks.
Bored of it. They're going to get bored of it, and we're not going to be as much pop culture as we used to be. It'll run its course. It'll happen. I'm kind of tired of being pop culture. Actually, I wanted to be invisible. I wanted this to be my hobby, and then the few people that understood it, not the whole entire nation.
Topps had Kevin Smith there live streaming into the Topps booth. They put him on the projector on the big display, and he's sitting. I think he was promoting. I guess Topps is making Clerks cards or whatever,
Yep.
The New Jersey connection, Atlantic City, Kevin Smith. So I kind of get that, but
I love Clerks, by the way.
I'm walking around and I'm like, the fuck Kevin Smith know about cards? Like, he's a comic guy. Like, I'm pretty sure on his show he's refused to buy cards, non-sports cards. Like his comic shop like refuses to buy cards. Like, this is kind of interesting. What's he saying? And like, he's talking about like, how cards are non-sports cards are good and all these selling points and stuff. I'm like, that's interesting. But it's just I don't know. I mentioned it earlier. There's definitely, I feel, especially with the younger crowd at these shows, there's like a cultural shift in the hobby. Like, and the hobby is it's a vague term because it there's so many different personalities, so many different types in the hobby. But you need the most important thing, obviously, you need more collectors than speculators, investors, flippers, whatever. I mean, the collectors need to be the foundation. And what I saw at the National was, especially with the younger folks, with the younger crowd, there's not many collectors there.
There's no foundation with them.
No,
we are
they don't.
The foundation. They eventually got to sell to us, to people that collect, and we're not paying their prices, so something's gonna give. There's some people that are paying their prices, but yes, you're absolutely 100% correct. They can only deal with each other so much before they have to actually sell to someone who wants the card. And we're just, when we say, no, we're not paying your price, you've been dealing with the wrong prices the entire time. And it'll break down. It's going to be it's just a matter of time. And I like I said, we're pop culture. We are in right now when we were never in before. We were in the 80s, and then we went away, and we came back in the early 90s, then we left again. Then we were, when cards became non-kid things, not saying it was non-kid, but when cards became more expensive to open, the kids came out of the hobby. Now when they got really expensive, the parents that couldn't pay for them before paid for these kids to get in the hobby. So it'll all come around. They gotta get rid of. They're not gonna want to keep this entire. Eventually, they're gonna sell the whole thing or trade the whole thing out, and they're just gonna get bored of it because that's their attention span. They'll find a different thing, an avenue to do what they want to do. I'm not saying all people will be like that, but I mean, that's my force. What I foresee what's going to happen.
Well, it's where we are currently. It's not sustainable, anyways. It's just
the hobby's in a weird spot right now, though.
Yeah, it's
in a real weird spot.
Yep, and I think that's the best word to associate because we've seen the extreme highs of 2019 and 2020 to still some crazy stuff in 2021, slowly starting to soften as 2022 has progressed. We all recognize and understand that we are now at a new ceiling, or a new basement price. In a lot of things, there's still some wiggle room as it pertains to where the ceiling's going to be in certain cards. But for me personally, and I go back to Vinny saying this multitude of times, and Paul even brought it up last week. At the end of the day, these dealers, flippers, those type of individuals, eventually these cards are going to fall into collectors' hands, and collectors are the final resting place for these cards. And what a collector pays for this, I don't want to come out and say that's the price, but in the scheme of things, when it falls within a collector or it falls to a collector, the collector is going to eventually set that price because we are the final resting place. That doesn't mean other copies may not fluctuate outside of the dealer network and the flipper network and everything else. But let's face it, as a collector, we are the final resting place. And as a dealer or a flipper or whatever, at some point, you're going to have to resort to getting it in the hand of a collector and accepting what a collector is willing to pay.
Mm-hmm.
See, what my takeaway from the National, though, was I thought there was way more speculators, investors, flippers, sellers than collectors at the convention. And normally that wasn't the case in Chicago. That wasn't the case in Cleveland and, pre-pandemic. Absolutely not. But I always view the National as kind of like a good look into the hobby I mean, that is the card show for the hobby. So you get a good look at what the landscape is, so to speak. And what I saw there, I was like, man, I feel like the collector, again, this is only one national, this is only one show. I felt like the collector was in the minority. It was way more speculator, flipper, seller type.
Oh,
Joe, did you what do you think? You were there. Did you get that sense?
1,000%. I was the minority by far. You walk around the show and you felt like I felt, at least this is, I'm speaking for myself. I felt like I had nothing in common with the people around me. I didn't strike up any conversations with, because everyone was Pelican case. It was. I felt like a dinosaur, which I guess is okay. I can live with it. I mean, I just, what am I going to talk to them about? I'm not going to tell them about what I flip because I don't flip like they do. I don't flip constantly. I don't move cards. I don't move $10,000 cards for $10,000 cards. I don't care. So it's hard. This is the first, last year's national was tough too, but this is the first time I thought when I'm walking around, I don't know anything about what these guys are talking about. Don't care to. So, like, you know how you would just strike up just a random conversation with a collector that's around you, or saying, "Look at the."
Yeah,
look,
that's one of the things I like at the national.
I didn't get any of that. I felt like the most alone that I've ever been around. I'm like, I don't have anything in common with anybody around me.
See, when I go, I engage a lot with people. Like, I'll engage even with the Pelican case guys and dealers. I try to engage with everyone because I like to know what's going on in the hobby. Like, because everyone has a different perspective, opinions and stuff. Like, there's not too many people that maybe think the way I think, or think the way you think, or Dave, Steve, Vinny, Carlos, Bob Lewis. Nobody thinks like Bob Lewis. But what I saw was what I saw and what I gathered from talking to some of these people is there is zero loyalty to the cards. Like, they just don't care. And that is a huge shift for me, because obviously there's collectors who also sell. You know, I took stuff to sell at the show as well. I take some sealed wax to sell, maybe take a single or two to help fund another purchase. But there was and last year you saw that too in 2021 Chicago. Like, there was a good amount of selling going on, but I feel the majority of the people who were selling were also collectors too. Like, they care about cards. They will hold on to their cards for a while. The sense I got this time around was there's no loyalty to the cards, nothing sacred. Like, just, we want money. We just want to, this is just a money making venture.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I took away from a lot of it, which is, and again, a lot of them were young. I would say they were under the age of 25 and under, which I think is a little concerning, because you want the younger people to, care about the cards and want to collect the cards, not just use the card to collect Benjamins, to collect USD. Like, that's cool and all. I'm not trying to say and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with selling, flipping, or doing whatever you want to do. But I think you should have a collecting foundation there, not just wanting to, my whole collection's in the Pelican case. Here, I want to liquidate, give me money, and then I want to turn it into this. I want to turn it into this. Nothing sacred. I'm all about making money. And I saw a lot of that. I just saw a ton of it.
Right.
This is what I overheard someone say, and it boggles my mind. He says, "What about this card here?" And the younger guy, 17, 18 years old, he says, "Oh, I PC this guy. I might keep him for a year." What?
Different opinion of what PC stands for.
That's what I said. And I also overheard this one conversation, and it boggled my mind. This guy was adamant that PSA or SGC slabs are worth more than PSA slab 10s. I'm like, And the dealer says, "No, you're wrong." And I laughed out loud because I can't contain myself. And he's like, and he was like, he's like looking at me, and he was like trying to backpedal. I'm like, okay, just whatever. People have weird opinions on, like, we kind of have a foundation of what's worth in grading per grade. It's not hard. You know, SEC is not far behind, but it's not no PSA 10.
It's moving up. It's
moving up. I guarantee, I do agree with that. But I was just like, okay. And then I couldn't, my filter on dumb things said is none. So I laughed completely out loud.
The dumbest thing I heard, and this is really going to set Dave off.
Oh, go.
So breathe, Dave. Breathe. The dumbest thing I heard.
Perfect way to end up wrapping up the call, or wrapping up this episode too, because we're coming up on 2 hours 30 minutes. So let him have it, Ed. Go for it.
Dumbest thing I heard was walking around Thursday, I believe it was. I was in the corporate space. There's a certain person in the corporate space who has a setup there, Mr. Sport Card Investor.
Oh, Jeff.
He had there. He was encircled by a group of kids, and there were some older people there too that encircled him. And I was walking closer to them, and the one guy says, "Oh my God, Jeff Wilson, thank you, sir. Thank you for being the first one to put card videos on YouTube. Thank you for having the vision of putting card videos on YouTube and building this community." Oh, fuck. Oh, God.
All right.
I'm like, is this guy an actor? I'm like, is this an act? I turned around. I stopped dead in my tracks, and I turn around and I look. I'm like, excuse me? Excuse me, sir? And
all right, cut the show, Dave. We're done. We're done.
And sure enough, the guy was dead serious. He was dead serious. He was fanboying, and I'm like, this is sad.
If that was a stupid thing contest, you won by far. I wasn't even close. That's great.
I'm like, what the? I'm like, the guy who said to invest in Roberto Ozuna and Lonzo Ball, for real? Come on now. The fuck?
Yeah, that's wow.
That one gets
Dave, we just need to we need to call it a career.
Say wait till Chicago next year. I'm gonna be the Tupac of the fucking card world. I'm gonna be.
Let's do it, Dave. I'll be your entourage.
It's gonna be fucking hell. It's gonna be hell. Like, if I hear something like that, somebody better
be right next to you, pointing it out, like, Dave, did you hear this shit?
Have your phone out and fucking push record, because you want content and subscribers and views. Fuck, the world's gonna blow. It's gonna be. Yeah.
I can't wait till you meet Jeff next year, Dave. We should just we should get together with Jeff.
That's like crossing the streams. We're not gonna do that.
I do it for the content, Dave. Let's do it.
I wish Bob Lewis was with me at the time, though, because Bob had his YouTube Hall of Fame patch in his wallet. If I was with Bob at the time, I would have been like, Bob, pull your Hall of Fame patch out. I'd be like, you got this, sucker? You got one of these?
For being on YouTube for like 10 years?
Don't worry. I'm sure with the criteria as what it is this year, you'll have fucking Sasha T, Mojo, Team Schmedium, fucking Home Ec Close. Jeff Wilson will go in. I mean, all these fuckers.
What about JoJo Shabado?
JoJo Shabadoo Jr. So they're all gonna go in. Victories for all. Then there'll be a special, just one-off for. Okay, here's like a collector that's been maybe on here for more than 3 years. I mean, whoever's left. I mean, there's not anyone really left that they like. I digress. Yeah, that's why I'm sort of excited for National next year. I like food, so again, Gibson's, Portillo's,
Giorgio's, or how you say it.
Not
Giordano's.
Yeah,
Giordano's.
we eat there every year. That's where we're going.
I think I might just go to Portillo's 5 days. Fuck it.
So I mean, that's that, and just to be a menace.
Yeah.
I mean, do what we. I don't know.
Put Jeff Wilson for the podcast.
Yeah, no. There's nothing.
He's the visionary, man. Started this shit.
No, because we don't want his fleebs to come over here and try and claim he's the best thing since sliced bread, because that won't go over well.
He lost so much money this last year. He won't say any of that.
Dude, the amount of fleebs that were there between the V Friends, Sport Card Investor, Backyard Breaks.
Oh, I got
all the.
Hey,
there
Dave,
was a lot of fleebs going around. Dave, I don't know if you would have made it. I think your blood pressure would have spiked too high.
I got a red Backyard Breaks t-shirt. I was going to wear it on the podcast today, but I was like, nah, he's going to get mad.
Joey?
They were handing those things out like
they were handing them out for free. I'm like, I'll take one just for the story.
Okay, so 100th episode, the week after the day after Labor Day. Joey needs to burn that shirt live on the show.
I gotta go outside.
That's fine. That's fine.
With your stash of 2020 Top Series 1.
Yes.
I did wave at him. That's about it.
He probably no-sold it. He probably just looked at you like, who the fuck
he
is
did.
this?
He looked like he was like, who's that? He doesn't remember who I am.
Are you the valet or what?
But I was nice. I waved at him, and that was it.
That's where you went wrong. You were nice.
Dave, you said yourself you could still be nice until it was time to not be nice.
And that was it.
When he gave me the dumb look back and he doesn't remember who I am, then I kind of was like, hey, you're a jerk. I remember now.
It is what it is.
Dave, if you go to the Chicago National, we are definitely bringing you to all the YouTube meetings, and we're gonna dress you up and get you there.
Yeah.
I'll be able to deal with a few people, but you'll see I'll be in the fucking corner. I'm not lying. I'm not gonna sit there and be like walking the floor. I don't give a shit about that. If you want to come and see me and talk to me, you will fucking walk your ass over to me.
That's fine.
Take a number.
Yeah. I'll have the fucking number thing like at the deli. Like, now serving.
Dave.
Q. Where's Q? I've got fucking these numbers here. Tough shit. Fuck off.
Good thing about Chicago is you can actually coordinate shit. It ain't like Atlantic City where it's a fucking dead zone everywhere, and you're like, Christ, I'm never gonna meet this person. We'll be able to coordinate there.
Yeah, that's the easiest place to coordinate. And I don't normally say, hey, go look at others' videos, but I see Alex in a video of a guy that has a shop in Ohio. In the same video, basically at the beginning, Mr. IUND 2009, Mr. Johnny Summers, making a deal with him. So it's nice to see the people that we either know, like, have seen on here. Again, 2018 now, it's 2016, now 2018. But when YouTube started in 2018. So I don't know. It's fun to watch. That's Vinny and I go back and forth, trying not to watch this shit. Steve chastises us and says he's gonna fucking have cigarette burns on her fucking forearms because of it. But that's one time I will actually watch these stupid fuckers babble and ramble, because again, for those of us who aren't there, who do like cards, who do tolerate card shows, even though pretty much if I had a grenade, and I might have like Taco Tuesday every night so I can rip ass worse than the ones in Chicago last year, and just clear the fucking deck. It's fun to see some of the people you know. It's like, oh hey, there's fucking B-Raw 6 you can buy with Reindeer Studios in one of the videos. Chris was in one of them too. I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was Team Schmedium Lake Tahoe. But he walks past Chris, and Chris just sort of looks at the camera, and it's just like, that's the feeling I'd have. I'd be like, I want to make videos, but it's not going to be me fucking talking about what deals and what plays I'm going to make and what fucking bullshit. I mean, if you get a shirt handed to you, fucking size up for a 3. Again, or get a fucking bra. I don't care. Do
What
something.
There was a lot of team mediums walking around.
So here's the thing though. If Chicago does go down,
It's going to be train wreck.
the planning needs to start early because it's all about the posse.
play.
Well, no, it's about the posse. People
Yeah,
need to have their shirts. You need to make sure you have a fucking camera following you around and have all these people think that, wait a minute, who's this fucking dude? I don't know who this guy is. He's
Don't
got
worry.
like a freaking mass freaking entourage in the camera. This guy's got to be big.
Don't
Let's
worry.
start following him. And they find out.
Don't worry. I've been churning away with several things, and again, just wait. That's all I want to say. I don't want to give really anything away with the
I
idea.
want Dave to dress like Roadkill for the one day.
That will be one. That will be one of them.
Garage. Carrying the. I just want that job.
I will have like a rotisserie chicken. I'm just gonna carry that around. That's
Okay,
my
the
fucking
chick- I'll hold the chicken.
Yeah, those people will be like, what do you got to offer? Just slam that fucker down, chicken juice everywhere. I got a fucking thigh for you. Not mine, the chicken thigh. Don't eyes are up here, not down there.
Carrying a bunch of fucking chicken sandwiches.
I'm gonna put like a 4-quart ice cream thing on a Kentucky Fried Chicken buckets and just walk around with them. That my cards will be in chicken buckets. People be like, this is fucking absurd. Like, I can't afford both chicken and pelican cases, so I mean I'm going chicken. I got to survive.
I can't wait for next year's national now. I thought I was really, like, I'm a little over it being this many years in a row. I can't wait now. Because I don't feel like I have to have a mission anymore.
The better half's already raising bail money.
There you go.
Yeah, it's going to be
Yeah.
needed potentially.
Yeah.
All right, Dave.
It is for her favorite.
This is true. This is true. She'll let us rot, but she'll
Yep.
bail Dave out.
She just said, she goes, I'll bail Dave out.
Oh,
You and me are screwed, Steve.
Love you too, better half. On that note, Dave, wrap us up before this shit like
Really derails.
off the wagon against off the rails.
right.
Chickens.
Thank you to Chris for jumping on earlier. Again, 2 things there. I wanted to make sure we got him on because of Steve mentioning of the first national against somebody in the biz that long. That's always important to get it from their vantage point because they've been entrenched for a decade plus. So, and then I wanted to surprise Steve because I know, as we've talked about many a time, they had many conversations back in the day. So I wanted to reignite that friendship. So hopefully that'll have happened. Thank you, Joey, Crypto Grifter, coming on. Yeah, I mean, literally like 1 arm length away being molested in the parking ramp. That could have been tragic. I mean,
What a story.
those sodists would have been gone. You would have gotten it all. Your soul, it would have been gone. It would have been a redemption. We would have had to scratch the redemption, and hopefully they could have brought you back. The code might have worked. You might get a white box or black box or whatever it is instead. I don't know.
Years.
And then again, Rennie, Steve, Remember, like, comment, subscribe. And this too, next 3 weeks, we're gone on vacations of various sorts, just much needed ones. As much as we don't like being here, we'll have the chase and the hits, the old retail therapy coming at you. It's enjoyable fun for sure. Remember, keep those in mind. They will pop up eventually. That's what she said. That's what he said. So remember, send us money, cash, checks, money orders, crypto wallet, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, EMT, satchels with dollar signs on them, gift cards. Always take gift cards. What else? Food stamps. Again, we like food, so EBT, whatever the nomenclature is, the correct nomenclature is. Gift baskets, gift bags. I mean, whatever, swag bags. You send us whatever, and except like dirty diapers and shit like that. And we'll take what we can use, and probably flip it on the side, because we're true collectors. Remember. So for Chris, for Joey, for Ed, for Vinny, for Steve, for myself, this has been the Insert Revolution podcast. Remember, cards bring us together. The friendships we forge from those cards bringing us together, that's what really matters. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.